Hello, everybody. Hope everyone's well. Hope everything's good. All that stuff. Just here to say hello and wait for some folks to come in. Baby, I don't think I can. I don't think my mic's picking that up. I think you can keep playing your videos if you want. I don't know. Um, this is really just a an update video to let everybody know what's going on. Say hello. See if anyone else might have a brake pad or and there is cake, but it's here. You've got to come up here. Hello, Michael, JYD, Timmy, Colleen. I guess that's it right for right now. Uh, yeah, yeah. Um, okay, so just the things that I know so far. Um, I spoke with Jamie the other day, and he is moving Stone Soup up to Tom at Rocket Restorations. Uh, from what I understand, Tom is going to put a new tank in it. Of course, new is relative. Um, he is going to put a tank in it. Uh, oh, cool. Yeah, I didn't know you were going live. Sorry, Michael. He's going to put a tank in it, and I'm not entirely sure if he's going to put a new fuel system in it or not, or if it's just the tank. Also, on his live stream last night, newer. Jamie mentioned that he was planning on throwing his Holley 1945 carburetor at it. I'm not entirely sure that that's going to happen because it seemed like he was a little not irritated, but he had some trepidation about putting that carburetor on there. The desired paint scheme, I've been outvoted, Donnie. I wanted it black. I wanted it just the most beautiful 10 mile deep or pearl metallic black that they have, but Jamie started this whole but the patina on it is so pretty. It's so perfect. So, and then of course Foggy over there agrees with him because she doesn't agree with me about this stuff, and so it's going to be the patina, the white with the rust oxide red stuff coming through the paint. I will kind of need a more experienced hand once it gets here to embed the channel logos and stuff in the paint. Well, everybody's got their own kinks and quirks, Michael. It's really just a matter of who has the car, and it's not. I mean, I'm taking ownership of it, but it's a community car, and if everybody likes the patina, then that's what's going to happen. I'm going to do the wheels regardless. It's one thing that I'm actually really good at. I don't know if you guys can tell, is with a rattle can. So the wheels are going to be white, and I'm trying to find some center caps and beauty rings for it to make it look like the Hot Rodders wheels from the 30s, 40s, 50s. Paint, so they just leave it. Well, like I said, man, to each his own. So the goal is to have it at No Name National. Yeah, that's the plan. Colleen, I made the suggestion to Scott that at the end of the build, once we get through No Name and we get back to the house and all that we might that I was thinking about it anyway, that we might auction the car off and send the proceeds to somebody or something to that effect. Maybe even throw some money at the guys that donated their time and their effort and their parts and all the other stuff to it. But Scott kind of gave me that, well, then why are we giving it to you thing? You know, so he, I would like to be able to repay the community somehow. And I'm thinking that maybe we could run this whole thing again next year, but with me as an outside interloper trying to set up another stone soup for next year. I don't know just yet, but that was a thought. I like I said, I was trying to figure out a way that I could repay the community for letting a guy who does nothing but play with Hot Wheels in, but that was Scott kind of brought me around to the other side. So yeah. Anyway, back to the plan. So from what I understand, Tom up at Rocket Restorations is going to take it back over toward Scott. He's got to go over to Western Montana some point here in the next couple of weeks. I do too, Ray. I just, like I said, I was trying to figure out a way because I'm poor, man. I don't know if you can tell or not, all the cobwebs in the background or the unfinished paint over here. I do what I can when I can, but I was trying to figure out a way to repay it. And yeah, Scott's right, but that's why I thought about maybe doing another stone soup for somebody else next year and have it come from a different part of the country and make the map and all that stuff. Kind of to I don't know, be my chore for No Name. Hello, Hot Rod. Thank you for showing up. Red Baron will hopefully be at driver Nina Jacobson. Definitely give her a shout out. Okay. Well, there you go. Guys, go look up Nina Jacobson. Donnie, I don't know how much of the Red Baron has been on you. I haven't seen any notifications or anything. I know you were trying to get me to keep it quiet, but anyway. So Tom is going to take it back east across Washington State towards Scott, and Scott wants to straighten the grill and perhaps put a new shift collar on it before it heads over to Junkyard Necromancer. Now, I don't know if anybody has been watching 38 POS. He's over here. 38 POS down there. But he was in a junkyard, what was it, yesterday, Ray? Day before? And he found a four-door early 60s Virgil Exner Lancer. It's got a good core support. It's got the battery tray. Lots of dashboard stuff still left on it. It is missing the driver's side glass, but if I remember correctly, the glass in those doors is flat. So I think the passenger side may work on the driver's side if it, So, yeah, that's our little rant so far. That's what I know. I was thinking that some folks might be up here already, but that's what I've got. I can sit here and shoot the shit all night long if you like, but Sunday, yeah, I knew it was a four-door. But if I remember correctly, the body lengths are identical, right? Like the two-door has that really long blank spot under the or behind the B pillar over back to the C pillar where it looks like a door should be. If you're hearing that squeaking, that's my chair. I could just say it's Foggy's knees. So, any further questions? Oh, no, ain't my knees. My hips do that. Let me see. Where you at there, Donnie? There you are. Ban user. Got it. No, I'm kidding. How do I make him a mod? Well, see that Donnie, I don't know. If bribe him. Hi, McDonald. There's Ray. Hello, sir.
Howdy.
Whoa, you are really loud. I got to turn that down. Sorry. There we
Howdy. I got to play with my audio here a second.
go. Okay. Somebody tell me how to make Donnie a mod, please. As far as keeping the slant six, I'm not opposed to it, but if we're if folks like Jamie are getting the car running on the slant six, then I think we should keep the power plant just because that's what's in the car. If somebody wanted to throw a turbo on there and try to make it with a little more gusto, I'm not opposed to that, but I think we should keep the slant six. Anyway, how are you, Ray?
Oh, we kind of got rained out today, so that's how come I can be here.
Well, they're what's that phrase? Their trauma is our treasure, or something like that.
That one I'm not familiar with.
No.
But my outside shop was getting wet, so we called it a day.
As you do.
So
there we go. Pin channel activity report move. Put user add as moderator. There you go, Donnie. You are a moderator. You can share links now.
Wow.
Well, so you actually had your hands on that car in the junkyard Sunday.
Yes.
What did you? What were you like? Oh my God, this has got these. Yes, I can't believe this. Or
Well, I'd heard about it here a while back, and I was trying to find out more about it before I took the trip and went and looked at it. So
yeah,
it sounded like it was worth looking at. Mostly I was looking at the front end stuff, that the core support hasn't been torched out. The grill looks reasonable. There's no bumper. There's no valance panel on it, but I know where it is. Somebody had bought that for a Valiant and then found out it doesn't fit a Valiant. So I looked at the dashboard on it. Jamie had said something about the knobs the switch knobs don't turn or anything. This one has the same problem. But this one, the dash instrument cluster is complete, not broken out. There's an ignition lock in it. I'm not sure which order things are on this. It's been played with. There's a stick shift, floor shift, stick shift in it, clutch pedal in it, and the push buttons on the dash for the automatic, and no shift collar on the steering column, which from some people I've talked to said if it was a stick shift, it was a 3 on the tree. If it was a automatic, it had the push buttons. So the only reason it wouldn't have a shift collar was it was originally an automatic car.
Right.
So it's not a donor for that portion, for the shift collar and linkage and trying to get it so you can slam them gears on the tree. But I don't know how much of an issue it would be to use that automatic dash. I think it would just be some blank holes where the buttons were.
Yeah.
Because the bottom corner in that area where the lock is on Stone Soup is broken out. Wires are hanging out.
Yeah.
So if we could get an ignition switch and a way to hold it in there proper and like that, that would be kind of a step in the right direction for a dependable daily driver kind of car, as opposed to sitting there twisting wires together like a demo derby guy.
Right. Well, we have to get that Valiant off the top of it so you can work in it.
No, I get that stuff the way it is.
No, there's a Valiant on top of the car that we'd have to get out of here so you can work in the car.
No,
Squished.
I could. There's no back window in it. I'm pretty sure I can actually get in the car and get the dash stuff out with that load on top of it. The front end stuff, I don't think is really going to be much of an issue that it's weighed down. I could probably talk the guy into moving the car. He has such equipment, but it kind of depends on what kind of deal he and I can work out.
Right.
I kind of said what's going on, and hey, I'll look at it. I'll look into it. I'll check it out. If he would like to be listed as a participant or what have you for contributions, that would be great.
Yeah, absolutely. We I've been debating on the paint scheme and how to make sure that everybody gets their credit, and that domed trunk, I think that'd be the perfect spot. And I have to say that it was actually Colleen's suggestion to use the trunk itself, but that would be the one piece of the car that I would actually paint proper. I'd have to have Donnie come up and help me paint it, but we'd get everybody's channel logos and all the information for everybody else put on the trunk of the car so they can see the participation from everybody on it.
I don't remember right off, Vic. Does that one have the imitation Continental kit on it, on the trunk?
No.
Okay.
No, it doesn't. No.
Because this one in the yard does not either. And what little I looked at the trunk deck, it looks good.
Yeah.
If you were to want to if I could get this other trunk deck and send it along with the car, then it could be painted proper, like you were saying, with all what you want to put on it and put on the car. And if the occasion arises that you part with the car or something, you could take that trunk deck off, hang it up on your wall next to your Cruda painting, and put the original one back on.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea.
They come to me once in a while, not often.
They're there every now and again.
Yeah, they're just flash in the pan like gold.
Well, I got to tell you, man, when I saw that car, I about peed myself. I couldn't believe that there was another one anywhere. Like I thought I thought it'd be just in the ground, in the ground, and only exposed like from the bottom of the fenders up, or bottom of the or top of the wheel wells. Damn it.
Yeah. Pardon me.
I'm having the same problem, man.
I've been kind of fighting the cold, so.
Yeah, me too. We've had a hell of a week in the shop, so it's trying to get some of these bigger projects done, and I've been sick, and of course she's been working, so I'm just like, just now would be the perfect time to start working again, and kind of shot myself in the foot with that one. But anyway, so did you catch what I said earlier on about Tom from Rocket Resto?
Something about he's going to take on a little bit and maybe help with transportation.
Yeah, he's going to put a new tank in it. Now, I don't know that he's going to run it all the way to the carb or anything, but the plan is at least to put a new tank in it, one that doesn't look like it got run over by a train. There's a yard here, French Lake Auto, that may have some of these. Rooster, would you mind taking a look or maybe giving them a call? And when Tom is done with it, he's going to have an empty trailer headed out to Montana. So he's going to throw the car in the back of the truck and take it over.
I'll keep it from bouncing so bad.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, if nothing else, it's good lead weight. Anybody have any questions, comments, suggestions, etc.?
I'm trying to get it set up so I can watch us and see the comments, and I'm still figuring that out.
Are you on the StreamYard page?
Right now I am, yeah.
Okay. Then you've got to do your Google sign in and all that stuff. I got you. A list of what we need. Well, help me out here, Ray. We need tires. We need brakes. We need the battery tray.
You need kind of matching rims.
Yeah, kind of sort of matching rims.
Because I think some of the ones on that car absolutely do not belong on that car. As it is. I don't know.
We need a taillight. We need pretty much the entire interior. Because both of those interiors that I've seen are smoked. Rooster, do I have your email or do you have mine? I don't. Please don't take offense to that. I email like 1,600 people a day for all these little Hot Wheels builds and stuff.
Pardon me. The car in the yard has taillight lenses.
Yeah, I saw that.
So
again, I was super excited.
There's something there that can be had. So we should be good there. By the time it gets here.
Okay. Rooster, my email is easy enough. It's Functional Histories Inc. Inc. @gmail.com. That's it. Yeah, the taillights are definite. What about the chrome and the trimming and all that stuff? I mean, it's not like it's necessary to make the car run, but if I'm not allowed to paint the car, then I sure as hell want to make it look as good as possible.
I guess pretty much what you saw in the video is what we've got, and I don't know what all you need for trim, what's there, what's not usable. So I don't know about that just yet.
Okay.
But I tried to walk around the car best I could.
All right. Well, I think you did a fine job, man. I like I said, I couldn't believe that it was just there. It is. Look.
Yeah, he was kind enough to let me just go after it. So,
well, maybe you definitely have more experience with things of a mechanical nature than I do. The door glass. Now, I know that the glass is flat from Jamie's videos. Are they bilateral? Like, can you take the ones out of the passenger side and stick it in the driver?
If they're flat, yes, I assume you can, because I wouldn't see why not. As long as it's not like a Pacer and one's longer than the other. AMC Pacer, one door was longer than the other one. Strange trivia for you.
Yeah. Well, I would very, very much like to have, glass in the door.
That would be kind of nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
A glass shop could cut one, a competent glass shop. Maybe have to take the passenger window out to bring it. Say, I need another one just like this. But so.
Yeah. Make a template out of the passenger side.
Yeah, just use it for the template. If somebody was to say measure front to back the length of the opening right at the belt light, right at the bottom of the window opening, then maybe I could compare that to this one over here. And that would tell for sure whether 2-door and 4-door is the same.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, it looks like the 2-door door isn't any longer, but I'm kind of thinking that they are.
It's a weird looking car, man. God, Virgil Exner must have been one of the first people to start getting high.
No. There's only
Have
one
you
thing.
ever seen his cars? Virgin Extra's cars look like two cars got smashed together. Yeah, peanut gallery over here.
They're ugly, so
They are ugly. That's why they're called road toads.
that's why I like them.
Jeez. You guys are going to have a gas when you meet her at No Name, I'm telling you. Yes, Donnie, it is. Okay, well, I sent an email out with the link to everybody who might want to get involved. I know JYD is driving right now. I only do it at 7 p.m. so that everybody can get involved. If I do it much later than that,
That's kind of a hard deal since you got all the time zones involved.
yeah.
You know.
Well, I wasn't, like I said, I wasn't expecting everybody to hop in, but it really was just sort of to update folks on where it's at and who's doing what and all that stuff. So when it gets down to you, oh well, there's JYD. He'll be here in a second. When it gets down to you, are you planning on?
Hey,
So guys, who all is going to be at your shop when JYD drags it down to you?
well, we're kind of figuring that Lovejoy will be here. I don't know if he will be here, at delivery. He probably would like to be. Kind of depends too on if he's employed at the time. Because he has said something about, he wants to do the brakes, and I'm all for that.
Mhm.
I don't know if anybody else is going to be present, while it's at Mike.
Whoa!
A rooster.
I thought I'd bounce on in here like Tigger,
Absolutely. Can. I think you turn your volume down.
My volume?
Yes, sir. On YouTube. You shut
Rooster, your
YouTube.
How about that? Is that better?
Rubber baby buggy.
Nope.
No, sir.
Okay, well, I'm on my phone, so I got to see. Okay, that's the mic thing. You guys got to teach me this stuff. I'm old.
Rooster, do you hear an echo from us?
No.
Okay. JYD,
Do you hear an echo?
I hear an echo.
I do
Okay.
too.
That
Do
makes
you
it,
have your YouTube browser open?
that means it's at Rooster's End.
Okay, how do I fix it?
What all
Windows
do you have open on your phone?
Just this one, I think. Oh, I might have. I don't know.
You
The
have
other,
another tab
Open.
Yeah, you know what? I bet that's it. I bet I have to close the page.
If you got YouTube open, that will do this.
If you close YouTube and leave StreamYard up, it'll not that. It
That's
won't
the
do
way to
that.
close it.
The echo went away, but so did he.
Well,
Come on back, Rooster.
you can come back. Just if you close YouTube, Anyway, we were talking about your Amo Hawk, who is going to be down there with you. You mentioned Lovejoy, and of course JYD is going to be there. What are you guys thinking you're going to be doing?
Well, Lovejoy's going to do brakes.
Yeah.
I was looking at this other car and looking at what I can contribute off this other car and move it along. Maybe get a proper ignition switch in it. Maybe see some electrical stuff. I know Ron at Just Rusty Parts, he wanted to do the wiring, didn't he? Or was he doing welding?
Ron Ward said that he was going to do some welding.
Okay,
And Patrick said that he was going to do the wiring. Patrick was mostly old parts.
I was close. I get them confused almost.
Yeah.
So I will probably then get some of the electricals at least functioning, not tidied up, not maybe proper, maybe it'll look a little hacky, but then we can tell whether, can we make the gas gauge work?
Right.
Turn signals, headlights. I don't want to step on anybody's toes with the grill and headlight doors, bezels, and stuff like that, because Scott wanted to work on that. I don't want to step on his toes about that, but this stuff is available.
Yeah.
And if he's willing to straighten that grill out and enjoys it, there's no reason I'm taking that away from him. No. Maybe if it still needs it by the time it gets here, do something with the radiator support and such as that.
Yeah. That core support in there, I imagine it's pretty much hacked to crap.
The top panel bolts in.
Really?
Does on this one. It sure looked like it did on this one at the yard.
Huh.
So if the stuff, I'm sure it needs to brace behind the grill. If the lower portion and the panels on each side of the radiator are not hacked bad, then maybe we just need to put the top panel on, call it good. I don't remember if there was a radiator in this one, and I wouldn't hold my breath. It held water. But
we're going to try Rooster again. Sorry.
Go ahead. Welcome back.
Well, I tried.
No echo? No echo.
Hey, you got it.
Well, whatever I did was merely by accident, because this is a very uneducated man when it comes to all this. Jamie's been trying to teach me all this fun stuff because I've done lives with him several times, and Donnie and I've done lives with him too, and he pulls me in for the racing side of it because of my vast stupidity in that area. Well, I mean, I've been an engine builder for 50 years, so I pretty much, if it can be built and run down a track, I've done it. So, yeah, my back of my brain's going with stone soup because I'm just nuts, right? I'm going 413 cross ram monster, I mean, I got to put a leash on me. I'm getting out of control. But it could be done. You got to change the K-frame out, I believe, on that one, because that's old stuff, and that would be an undertaking. You'd have to find a V8 K-frame of that vintage.
That vintage
Are you
on
sure of that?
What's that?
Are you sure that it's a different K-frame? Because my 66 Valiant, it's the same K-frame for V8 or V6. When it went to 67 and on, then they had different K-frames.
So again, that may be very true. I'm not sure. I don't work on stuff that old. There's also a guy. Okay, so we got French Lake Auto Parts. That's 140 acres of old vintage cars. There's another old yard that I know about that's over in Wisconsin that has a lot of really old stuff, and that's a possibility as well. For finding, bits and pieces. But I think, if you got a donor vehicle to get a few pieces off it, you grab what you can. I mean, V8 power would be just so much more dependable than that Hillside Hemi,
You can't get more dependable than that.
Well, Jamie is a Hillside Hemi lover to no end, and matter of fact, he and I have been so busy. We've been texting today because we just don't have time to talk. And then I called him out on his live stream last night and said, "Well, he's coming here. He's going to stay here at the farm." No, there goes the neighborhood. Yeah, my other brother from another mother. Yeah. So, this guy and we do some hilarious Irish stuff together. It's just nuts.
You don't say.
I maybe. But just trying to refocus my brain. It's been a long day. Jamie and I were talking about, I called him out, to a drag race because he wants some seat time before he goes and takes on Tony, and I'm going to buy a Portatree so he can practice with that. I'll ship it out to him, and so he can get his light timing down. And he did some online app for his phone, and I'm going like, that's useless. You got to have the real deal. And he kind of chuckled about that, but he was so busy today, and I was busy. We didn't get a chance to call each other, and
Hmm.
And but he's going to stay here while he's doing Mopars in the park.
Oh,
And so the reason for the call out is I thought, well, content, and because he's really on the content bandwagon right now, and we could go out in the country here and do an old school street race. My kid and some of his friends could kind of be the watchdogs, and we could go out there and do an old school street race. His Demon up against my Roadrunner, both 4-speed cars.
Oh boy.
So yeah, well, if he can beat me, if he can hold shot me and beat me, he'll put Tony on the trailer, and I will laugh all day long. And then Tony said something about Sawzall and the chunk off his car, and I told Jamie that I would go down there and I would pit for him, and so I left him remark on Tony's video that I'm bringing my Sawzall. So yeah. Nothing like cutting up, but I would do it in a humorous way, like trying to, go over there with a Sawzall going, I'm taking the right fender.
The most humane way of butchering up a car. I love it.
Well,
Only the best.
We would do it in a humorous way. I'm not going to slice a chunk off Tony's car, but I might go around it like a guy who's looking at which part of the steak to cut first,
right.
Yeah.
So we do a little bit
This
of
is mine.
fun
I'm
thing.
taking this. Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
you could just take a piece and vice grip it to the bottom and then go cut that off.
Yeah.
Not actually his
yeah.
car.
I don't really think Tony would appreciate me sawing up his car.
No,
Probably
uh,
not. If I had-
Plant
Yeah, I
something
think
spare
you might-
on it.
Yeah, but I mean, racing for a piece of cake. I mean, really, come on,
Yeah.
step it up. old
Hey,
man.
I'd do it.
Me
See,
too.
here's the thing about Tony.
You know it.
We
Tony,
race for dinner at
I've
Sykes.
known Tony for a really long time, but he doesn't realize he knows me. Okay, which is really hilarious because we ran in the same ranks growing up with Top Fuel stuff, and we've rubbed elbows in the pits before with different racers, because I was involved in a lot of stuff and funny car racing, and so I've known of Tony a long time. I knew when he was writing articles for magazines. I knew of him then too. And a couple other guys too that were writing for Mopar magazine. I'm friends with them online as well. But we it's hard to say how it's going to shake out, and it's a jam-packed weekend. And
It
then
is.
he wants to go south down to Tony's after he leaves here at Mopars in the park. He had me look up Rock Falls Raceway over in Wisconsin and find out what their agenda is. And they've got on that Sunday, they've got an import race going on, but they don't have on Saturday. He could test and tune there, but he's going to be at Mopars in the park. But then they've got another test and tune on Friday, but he can't get here that soon. So it's just, I figured, well, let's just do it the way I've done it forever, just, do test hits on the street, Jamie needs some really sticky slicks for the back of that. The street slicks aren't going to cut it. He's got too much motor now, and he needs something that's really going to bite, and he needs some Goodyears on the back of it. So we've been talking tires, and that car really doesn't need anything else. It's good to go.
Didn't he have a set of slicks in his garage? In one of his videos, I thought I remember a set.
But if they're older slicks, he'd be so far ahead of the game just to go out and buy a soft compound Goodyear slick, a new set of slicks. I mean, spend some money, but he's got small bolt pattern. I told him I had a set of center lines he could, use, but he's got small bolt pattern. So he's got to find rims now to just designate for slicks to put on the car for, wrinkle wall slicks, old school. That's the only way he's going to get that. But here's the thing. Jamie's a lot younger than Tony. Well, I'm 2 years older than Tony. And so my reaction time as an old guy sucks, but, and Jamie's pretty quick. I mean, Donnie's really quick. As long as he doesn't fall asleep at the light, I mean.
Yeah, really. I got ammunition for that. I definitely got ammunition for that.
Yeah, I knew you were packing the big guns on that one, but Donnie just recently won a drag race too. It was a crazy day, and it was just fun.
It
And
was.
that is a story you'll have to tell.
You ever see a fat man scream that loud? That was awesome. I was so happy for you that day, dude.
Dude, I appreciate it big time.
Yeah, everybody was definitely in your corner on that deal, and
I couldn't believe it happened.
The Red Baron is going to be a hoot when you get that all good to go. That thing's going to be so light and so quick. It's going to be
that's what I gotta touch on real quick. So we're gonna have Stone Soup there, Dale's Demon. Oh, who else? What is Tony's car? What's
that's a Dart, I believe.
Well, he doesn't have a name for it.
No, I don't know. Yeah, he does.
Oh, Slaghammer.
Slaghammer, and then Red Baron. Hopefully that's going to show up. But the daggum thing is like you were saying about reaction time. Man, I'm slow. I'm not gonna lie, I am slow. So I'm actually gonna I'm borrowing another driver, Nina Jacobson. So female driver, right? I'm telling you, she's going to have a better reaction time than me. She is going to be the next Shirley Muldown.
Well, two things. Women can see the transference of light quicker, and they also have better reaction time than men. They're like a freaking cat, you know?
Exactly.
And when we were racing junior dragsters, my son, the young girls that were racing juniors up against my kid, I mean, he had to be on his game because these girls are out there cutting 003s and 005s and 007 lights. And, you know, he's like, I told him straight away, you got to get your reaction time down or you're never going to win a race. And luckily 9 times out of 10, you know, he would be able to run his dial in and he'd be okay. But I mean, he did really well. Was really proud of him for what he did. But that's why what we're building the drag truck for is I pitted for him as a kid and he wants to pit for me as an adult now. And we're just doing it for fun. I mean, I would love to show up at No Name Nationals with that wicked drag truck, you know, maybe even just for the day, throw the 2 4s on it with a 500 shot of NOS. I mean, that'd be 1,400 horsepower. I'm pretty sure that would scoot.
That's going to do some stuff.
Well, even just the 800 horse 440 is going to do some serious damage with the trans brake. I mean, that thing's going to come out of the hole. Now, back to the other comment I made earlier. If anybody's a racer, you practice on a Portatree, okay? But that only is good if you're going to have a button. You know, if you got a button, for a trans brake, that Portatree is really going to help you. If it's got to be the signal from the light timing to your brain to your leg to let go of the clutch, then you're going to have to work a lot more because, you know, and the older you are, the harder it is. I mean, I'm not going to kid anybody.
Has anybody ever modified some setup so you could trigger the switch with your foot?
Yes. There is actually a pedal that you can get that you can rig it up so the pedal. My buddy in Rochester here, he had it set up because he ran a stick for countless years in a Dart, and he was a 4-speed freak, and he had a Portatree set up in his basement with brake, clutch pedal, gas pedal, the whole works. I mean, he just hacked it out of a car, and you know, and he set up his own switch system and everything else. It was neat as hell, and I trained on that because he was my mentor here locally in town. And Tim Lowry was an amazing racer. I mean, that guy had a room packed full of trophies. I mean, just absolutely packed. And he could make his car run the number every single time. I don't know how he did it, but he just killed it. Absolutely killed it. You know, it's all about, in that stuff, it's all about, you know, running your number and you know, hitting your dial in. Bracket racing, that's what it is. But I come from the same background as Tony, where we started out total arm drop live, and he who crosses the line wins. You know, that's head to head. You know, and I love head to head racing. I mean, but then it's who's got the most horsepower wins kind of thing, you know. And in today's world, with all the goodies you can go to the store and buy, somebody's gonna hand you your hat, pretty quick. We used to run for paint all the time. I had to get rid of my son called finally. Well, we were supposed to put a loader on a tractor, and I don't want to do it alone anymore. And Donnie knows what happened to me the last time I tried that stunt. And
You got a new grill.
yeah, I got
a new
pearly
grill.
white. By the way, you do not want to take a crowbar to the cheekbone. Just saying. That's really a bad idea.
You could have
Yeah.
asked somebody first. We could have told you.
Yeah, well,
I was about to say, I mean, heck,
Yeah.
he has a point.
yeah, this old bullheaded son of a bitch that just likes to, go do things all on his own. I mean, I'm 64 years old. You'd think I'd wise up, but
Don't
no,
get too smart.
I got to ask for help for a lot of things around here because I don't want no more accidents. It takes too goddamn long to heal up. I was pretty much out of it for a month. Broke my face. I broke my face on a crowbar. Did a 2.5 gainer with a triple twist and landed on my head on the ground off the tractor landing. And luckily I landed on my head, so I didn't hurt anything important. And
Dude, that is completely anus, man. Come on.
yeah, well, it kind of rattled my coconut a little bit too. So that was not so good for the whole month of March. It pretty much wrote that month off. But I've been trying to get caught up. So my problem is I own a shop. No, Donnie knows my thing, but he's and I've been friends for quite a while. But I own the boat restoration business, a muscle car restoration business, and a ranch on top of that. So I go from sunup to sundown every day of my life. And at some point I should retire and go fishing.
But you won't.
Are you having too much fun doing what you're doing?
Oh, I'm having a hoot. I mean,
Then what's retirement?
I was just down to my buddy Butch's talking to him, and he's
Got
a
a
Chevy
point.
guy, evil Chevy guy with a 55 Chevy that's amazing car. But I was down there shooting a breeze with him, and I stopped by and saw a friend this morning that has a 69 Super B, original numbers matching 383 4-speed car, and it's in that really iridescent green color. And I stopped and chatted with him today, and he's all excited about getting his car out too. But Butch has been out ripping around a little bit, and I told Butch, I said, you better watch out. The Roadrunner's coming back out, and he's known me since we were kids. And I told him,
Roadrunner.
yeah, well, I'm shoving a 383, a well-built 383 in it for now. I'm not putting the 440 back in it. I just don't have time to build another engine, and I have one sitting here ready to rock. So that's what's going in it. I just want to drive my car. The blown Coronet that I'm building, that motor's ready to go in there, but I got to do a bunch of metal work or I'll turn that thing into a pretzel in about 5 seconds. Because I'd have a lead foot, and that's getting a 4-speed behind a blower motor, 850 horse with a 4-speed and an old crazy fool like me. Oh, that's going to be fun. I know.
So,
Let's
Vic,
put a blower motor in stone soup and really do it up.
yeah, Vic, you had mentioned about the conversion from V6 to V8. Has somebody already mentioned something about that, or offered one, or is that just a thought out there?
Well, you did on April
Oh.
1st.
Yeah. That one I told you that ship sailed. Sorry, man.
Well,
No
If-
Hemis
if-
available no more, huh?
No.
Minor details.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, so my only issue with switching from the stock 6 now really is that Jamie's done so much work on that 6, and it would sort of be I would feel like we're betraying what he did to get the car,
Oh,
at least
definitely.
mobile.
Definitely
Almost like
not.
a borderline smack in the face. I get it.
Well,
Right, I
but
get that.
the purpose of what Jamie did was to make it run and drive so that it could be propelled around between all of us guys that are going to throw our hat in the ring here, and do things. I mean, I even stepped up and said, hey, because I was making sheet metal by hand back in the day. So making some panels for this thing for me isn't that hard, like the little, quarter repair. And there's a dog leg that looked pretty bad. And on the passenger side, and there was some other spots that just you could make small patch panels, you know, and for what you're going to do with the car, you know, and just get them welded in to make it solid again, and then slide some Duraglass over and knock it into, you know, primer. And if you're going to have Donnie come up and spray it, you know,
As
that
they
sort of
say in
thing.
Tombstone, say when. So
Well, I can do some of the sheet metal work, you know, and stuff like that. But I mean, if it just depends on how. I don't know how bad this really is. I got to go back and look at the videos
Right.
and see, because Jamie called out all its problems, and I got to go back and look at that video to get a better idea. But I didn't know the flight plan of the car. If it's not coming anywhere near Minnesota, that sucks bad there. But that doesn't mean I can't call the guys up at French Lake Auto Parts and say, hey, what do you got? You know, but again, Vic, you got to email me, or we got to get emailing back and forth so I can get all the details of the car, what it is, and everything else. So I get it fresh in my head, and then I can go out.
So I just pulled up a picture of it too, because we were wondering about that earlier. The driver's side looks pretty solid, but it's that passenger side, that lower quarter.
Yeah, right by the rear
well,
wheel.
The quarter isn't such a big deal. It's more of that rocker panel, you know.
Well,
right
yeah, I
behind
would
the
make
back door, or the door,
I would
guess,
make
the back door.
I would chop the chunk out of the rocker, leave what's good, and chop the chunk out, and then make a piece to go in there and just weld it up just to get stability back in that strength area. And then I would just, you know, cosmetically, I'd probably just slide some Duraglass over, grind it off, and slide some Duraglass over it, and, you know, whittle it out so it looks pretty, and, you know, and then put it in primer and then hand it off to the next guy, you know. But that way the metal would be covered, and, you know, it'd be in primer. And, you know, Donnie's fully aware of what to do next. I mean, if he was to step up, I mean, the final block sand's got to be done by the painter. That's just the way it's got to be.
Yeah.
You know, but this
And you guys were talking about paint earlier. I before I jumped in. What are your thoughts on that, Vic? I know you were kind of touching on that a little bit. I was driving and was kind of just listening, but
Well,
I know everybody's talking about how awesome the patina is and stuff, and I know what your initial thoughts were of making it a nice jet black or something. And
yeah. Well, again, I'm not a fan of corrosion. I mean, patina, but
So,
I can be subtle.
Okay.
Shut up.
no, you can't.
what was that?
Um,
Did I go glitched?
No, that was my phone went off. My kid's been trying to get a hold of me, and I'm blowing him off.
But 38 here has an option in that we can leave the car the way that it is, have Donnie come up and fix the panels and stuff, or at least, you know, paint them to match the rest of the car.
I'll give it the good college try.
And we can clear coat everything. Like I said, I'm pretty good with a rattle can, but you give me a trigger, and I might as well be trying to drive a 3 on the tree. You know?
No, it's
We're gonna
so
learn
easy,
you
man.
that one,
It is
Vic.
so easy, man. It's overthinking. I do have to give one quick shout out though. That's the driver. Yes, she rides too.
Okay.
What kind of
that's what
bike
I
is
said.
that? I can't tell.
It was a Sportster 883.
Ah, well, okay.
She rides. So
But
Hey, well, we all do.
and she races. So hey.
but that
I'm going to be doing some riding this year too. My show Shovelhead needs to come out and get thumped around a little bit too. The kids been giving me crap about, you got this beautiful motorcycle sitting in the garage, you never ride it. What are you going to do with it? Why don't you give it to me? I'm
Oh,
going
geez.
like, no, he's
So-
already got a bike. Why does he need to?
So yeah, that'd be great. But
Well-
with Stone Soup deal, what you were saying, Vic, go ahead.
Okay, so I don't know if you guys have watched it or not, but Ray actually found a 4-door in a junkyard close to him. And I mean, of course, the roof is smashed in by the Valiant that's sitting on top of it.
Minor
But-
detail.
But the rest of the car actually looks like it's in pretty good shape. And
I overheard that. I overheard that, by the way, and I agree with him. And I would go in there and rob everything out of the dash that you could use. And he mentioned about the fact that there's a good deck lid on it. and I would probably scarf that up just so you had extra sheet metal, because extra sheet metal is not a bad thing. And anything off that thing, I think you mentioned something about the grill and stuff like that, and pieces in the front that are good. I'd rob everything off that you can. The door glass got mentioned, and the 2-door and the 4-door are totally different glass. So that's how that is. So that much I do know. The doors are longer for the 2-door, slightly, a couple inches.
What I was
enough
going
of
to
a
say
gap.
about the deck lid, though, is if we could get Ray some kind of funds through the Patreon. By the way, folks, Stone Soup has a Patreon. It's go to patreon.com/functional histories. Functional Histories Inc. I'm sorry. If you'd like to help out with the build. But if we could get some funds over to Ray to rob some of the parts off of that, I'd like that deck lid, because I can work on that as I'm doing the other projects here in the shop, and I can start putting people's names on it that are contributing.
Well,
And
with your
so,
ability
Vic,
to do
you had asked
decal-
earlier too about the deck lid. I caught that one before I jumped in on the deck lid. The one that the current car does have that I don't know what you call it, but that V down the middle of the trunk.
Does it?
Whereas the one 38, right? You said that one doesn't, right? The one in the junkyard.
It doesn't have. I mean, some of the Lancers had what looked like a Continental kit on them.
Oh, is that what you were wondering about?
That-
You
It's
know
not
what I
Continental
would
kit,
do?
but it
Body
does have
line,
like
whole-
that V, like that little I don't know what you call it.
Yeah, we do need a talking stick.
Go ahead, Rooster.
What I would do with that deck lid is I would do a tribute. I would get it anyway. I would do a hang on the wall tribute deck lid to every YouTuber that laid their paws on this, and just like whoever the builders are or whatever, just have everybody their signature on it in some fashion, or Big Wrench Tech and Rooster's Restorations and whoever else, gets involved in this, Dead Dodge Garage, and just, maybe you have the capacity, Vic, of creating incredible decals. And I just think that let you do your thing on a blank slate and use that deck lid that he picks up for you as a tribute deck lid.
Okay.
That way, if you go to some kind of event with Stone Soup, you can bring the deck lid along and just prop it up next to the car or whatever, and these
Hell,
are
they
the.
could have it mounted on the installed on the car. Even.
Well, true. You could go, but that other deck lid on that car, the original deck lid is not a flat deck lid. It's something funky, I think.
Yeah, they've got some curvatures to it, but I was thinking he could mount that on and concentrate the customization to that, and
Right.
take it to events or whatever with that on there, and with it having shiny paint underneath it and the rest of it patinaed out, the deck lid would attract attention, and people would stare at it, look at it, see what all this is about.
Right.
More so
Right.
than over in the corner, there's this stand with a deck lid on it. Have it actually mounted on the car. And
Well,
All right, we're getting
it fit.
right. That's a great idea. The other thing is, I don't know if you talked about it, but is if you could get one deck lid to Vic so he can get started on it too. I don't know if we could get it
Right.
to you.
Yeah.
Well, because you're not going to see this car for another 3-4 months or so, right?
Right.
You get the deck lid and start doing that, and that's done. So when the car gets to you, you just swap them out, and you're ahead of the game a little bit. But
Right.
I don't know. It's not easy to ship a big piece of metal like that, but it could be done. So
Well,
Oh,
I have bet a
do it all the
bunch of
time.
folks. I'm sorry. I don't even know who was talking that time.
Here.
There you go.
Oh, wow. Nina's
Let me
in the
have
live
that for a
stream.
second.
Nina's actually here. Wow. She's like, no, not yet. So she's not ready. But yeah, she's actually
Okay.
in the live stream. Go figure.
Let's
Awesome.
get back to the paint though. That's what I asked you before, and we never quite finished that conversation. I know some people like the patina. Izzy, get. My dog is bothering me here, but
Go on, get.
don't get.
Yeah.
All right, get up here then. Get up here. Huh? Say hi. Huh? No.
There.
The
right.
patina, though. Some people like it. I know there's some people that are influencing you, but I know what your original vision was, and if I can speak openly, I liked your idea originally with a black car, which would give a nice platform. There she is. Like this, like nice black, jet black, and then the logos would stick out and stand out a little more too. Where the patina, they may kind of fade away a little bit.
Yeah,
Well,
go ahead.
You're gonna have to give Donnie a lot of volume to make that thing so straight it can be black. I mean,
It doesn't have to be perfect.
that's a lot of.
It doesn't have to be perfect. It's a stone
Yeah.
suit car. The bodywork, it doesn't have to be just great. Go. You know what you do?
Yeah.
My favorite, and I'm kind of partial to it, but the flat black, because then it hides a little bit the gloss. It doesn't show all the glares and everything like that. So the other thing is, with this car, it's we're trying to get a transformation from the West Coast over to Ohio, right?
Right.
I think if it looked like this and it gets all the way across country and it still looks like it does, maybe a little, glossier or something, that transformation, that effect isn't as big. Whereas if you, painted it black, made it nice, it would kind of show the transition of what was done to it a little bit more too, Just my thoughts. I'm just throwing it out there. So,
And
Vic,
I tend to
you got
agree
my
with you,
vote if
actually.
we go to paint it. I think the patina thing has been done. Honestly, it's been done enough. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, agreed. Me and Donnie.
And I like patina on the right vehicle, like an old farm truck where it's your grandpa's farm truck and his belt buckle scratches are on the fender and it's got a history or a story behind it, or you fell down when you were a kid and that dent in there happened and that's a memory of that car. That patina should stay. That's cool. But this car, I don't know the history of it. Is there a history behind it? We don't know. It's just been sitting in a field,
Right.
Yeah, it comes with no
so.
story to this.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
Well, the beauty
My
of this
blown
car being
Cornet.
on YouTube as much as it is that everybody can see how it started. So it's not like we're trying to hide anything that's, we look at this car, it's a survivor and it's beautiful and stuff. No, we brought this thing back from the dead.
Well, look at my blown Cornet. I'm leaving that with the faded gold paint on it, but everything from the engine compartment, the engine, and everything underneath is going to be tricked, right? So everything's going to be pretty and shiny when you pop the hood. But as far as it closed, I mean, the whole thing is going to be just patina all the way, because I just wanted to do something different. So I'm leaving the car just the way I'm going to even. Whatever body work needs to be done, I'll end up with a little primer here and there. And eventually I'll probably paint the car, but I'm going to run that thing around patina with a blower motor in it. And just everybody's going to go like, what? And that's the shock and awe. And that's where if Stone Soup stayed white instead of black, I think, well, stone is white. So most generally, stone can be any color you want, but black just, I don't know if I do that car in black just because it has to be so straight, and otherwise everybody's going to go, and I hate that. But
well, I heard Vic make a comment about where this car came from, and I don't know whose car it is. Is it Scott's dad's car or something?
No, Scott, if I remember the story correctly, Scott traded another car for the drivetrain that is in Stone Soup. From another fellow out in Washington. So he doesn't have any like major ties to it, but his dad does have a 62 black Lancer, just
That's
like
what I'm talking about, and that thing looks sweet. If you've seen these cars in
it
black,
looks menacing, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's sinister. It's just it shows the body lines. Black is. It just brings out those body lines, which
regardless
ugly,
of how
but
many
they're
dents,
so
it's
ugly,
gonna look good.
It could be badass. That's
A lot of people in the comments right now. Paint. Nina Jacobson right now. Paint. So,
Hey, here's my idea. If it's that much of a controversy, how about you do
Throw a vote.
do a running poll or something? Poll
Yeah.
and just see, not just here, but like a running poll.
Oh yeah,
You know,
good
go with
idea.
pink. Just go with
what does
pink.
everybody want? You know, everybody that,
okay.
and hopefully you get a lot of feedback, not just from us in the community, but the people that see it going cross country and
Right.
see where it
Well,
goes.
and that's the thing. I mean, we've still got what if Wilburn were in here, he'd tell us what 139 days or 137 days or something like that.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
127, 6 hours and 53 minutes. I don't know.
How many
pulled that
seconds,
one
sir?
right out.
pulled that right out of your ass.
But who's counting? You know.
Right. Well,
No
That's
point in
black.
getting technical or nothing. Yeah, well, you know, I mean, if you're going to have Donnie paint it, he's the ice cream man. You can have any flavor you want. So he shot everything out of a gun that could come out of a gun. Some things that probably shouldn't have come out of a gun. I remember he painted a Corvette
Yes.
green once, but that's a long story.
Colleen says to do it 50-50 right down the middle.
Oh, you know
There you
what?
go.
I'm going to tell you.
Right twig,
Hey,
left twig.
that's
Yeah.
I've seen guys do that. They leave half the car patina, and then the other half of the car is this absolutely flawless, wet sanded, buff, brand new
Gorgeous.
looking machine.
Yeah,
No.
it doesn't have to be like show quality perfect paint.
Hey, if you
Yeah,
want to be a
but
part of this, then you come over here and be a
Just
part of
we're not going to paint the back of the car black then, because I don't know.
it. What? Well, it is a Virgil Exner, man. The front does not match the back.
How so? I don't get that.
What would you do?
Man,
I
Virgil
definitely
Exner
I
was
had to
Chrysler's chief designer.
Chop that
in
up.
the-
I was like,
in
what are you
late
going to do in the
50s
car
and
now?
early
Yeah, I know who
Black
it is.
ass.
Who designed it. I didn't mean. What do you mean by it not matching the front doesn't match the back?
The car, if you cut the car right at the B pillar,
Yeah,
it looks like the back end would belong to a different car.
you're right.
Oh.
You're right.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Well,
I
I
think the
put a
front fender
tape line
matches
right
the back.
down through the center of it.
Right.
I have one side of the car be patina and a tape line right down the center, and then the passenger side have that thing just be black and
You know, that's
flawless.
not a bad idea, actually. That isn't a bad idea.
Boy, you guys are making so much work for me.
No, Donnie.
Like,
We're
literally,
telling
the
you-
grill is going to look like a stroke patient. One side's going to be nice, and the other.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, Donnie. We're cutting your workload in half. You only have to paint half the
There
freaking
you
car.
Oh, thank you. I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Yeah, you know, we're just giving you the worst half, the passenger side, you know.
Well,
So
Oh boy.
yeah, I think JYD is on to something with the vote. I love Jamie and I do love my wife.
Okay. I love you too, Foggy. I hope I didn't rustle the waters or make you mad. I'm just saying.
But yeah, I mean, since it is a community thing, I'm not afraid to give up the decision to the crowd and see what they say. So
well, I think one of the options you could throw out there is, you know, what was mentioned earlier about the half and half, and then color. That's the other thing too, is what color, should the thing be, even if it's complete paint or half and half, what color, what would everybody think it would be cool? I mean, there's a guy in Minneapolis that has the identical car with a 413 in it, and his is painted blue, and that car looks good. I mean, it really does. It looks bone stock, but unless you lift the hood. And then it's 413 with a cross ram, and it is an absolute freaking animal.
do what?
I mean, so
Well, I'm telling you, if you're looking for attention, I can guarantee you're going to get attention at that car. You bring it to a car show, people are going to walk past the Corvettes, past the Camaros, past the Mustangs, and they're going to walk up and they're going to say, what the hell is this thing? I can guarantee it, because I've got a 66 Valiant 4-door, which is nothing special. It's like a box car, but nobody knows what it is. They walk up and they're like, they'll walk right past everything they've seen already. Everybody knows what a 69 Camaro looks like, right? Or a 65 Mustang, or but you look at a car like that, it's like, what's going on here? What is this? Tell me about it. And you will get attention. There's no question about it. And if it looked sharp, it would. I don't know. That's
well,
just my opinion.
the reason you're going to get attention on this car is because you just don't see these anymore. I mean, period. I mean, these cars were deemed either too ugly to fix up or for, in comparison to the more modern muscle car, or they're just old and they were discarded. Vic nailed it. This is a car that was saved from death, and that's why he jumped on it. And to begin with, he saved this old car, and where others wouldn't have done that, So Vic's on a rescue mission here. That's what it amounts to.
All right, something to ponder. I just wanted to throw it out there. So
Yeah, well, I'll throw together 2 or 3 or 4 different options and see what the community has to say.
The reason I jumped in here and I really should be out mowing and doing things. But how do you perceive that this would get to me so I could do some sheet metal work on it? And what's the flight plan of the car?
Well, as of right now, the closest it's actually getting to you would be
Ohio.
No. Probably the fellas over in Wisconsin.
Oh yeah.
You've got
And I'll be
4
in
guys,
Oshkosh soon.
you got 4 guys right on the lake in Wisconsin that are all like in a 20-mile cluster.
Okay, which lake? Where?
The big lake, Michigan. The one. Wait, no, that's Superior.
No, Michigan. Lake Michigan.
Michigan's first one, yeah.
Yeah.
Superior.
Lake
Superior
Michigan is
north.
between Wisconsin and Michigan, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, they're right off of Lake Michigan in the oh god, not many.
Well, that covers everything from Milwaukee to Green Bay, so you're going to have to nail that down. I mean, Fond du Lac or what?
Can you give me just a second, and I will do a Google Maps search.
I'll be in Oshkosh in July, so
Oh, you're going to go to the show, the flight?
Yep.
Oh, cool.
I'll be up there for 2 weeks. So I mean,
We
if
used
the
to run
car's
that.
around, I'll be there. So,
The same weekend that the fly show was on, we used to go to the they had a powerboat thing on I can't think of the name of the lake right there, but we used to go to that. I used to take my offshore boat up there, and we'd go out and do a poker run. That was a hoot.
Milwaukee.
Milwaukee. Okay, well that's
Yeah.
a hell of a hike for me.
it's only money and
Rooster,
time
where
and
you at?
distance.
Rochester, Minnesota.
Minnesota.
Okay, yeah. You're right there
So
at
if it's coming from the west and
Smoke Bars in
going
the
to the
Park.
east, it's got to go past me.
Right, but
To get to-
as soon as it gets to JYD, it's going straight south.
Right. So it would have to come to me before it goes to Milwaukee because the flight plan wise. Okay. So because Minnesota is obviously before Wisconsin if you're going west to east.
Yes, but
It
we've
takes a
got
right
guys
turn.
down in the south end of Missouri and Nebraska that are.
Henry, turn left. We're lost.
Shut up, Donnie.
Fine.
So it's going
Yeah,
way
so
down
if it's
south
gonna go
and
to
then going back
Montana-
up. So
So if it's going to go to Montana, then it would probably come across on Interstate 80 somehow in some
Yep.
form of transportation, or Interstate 90 actually. Because I'm thinking when Jamie left here to go home, when he brought the Charger back, he went on Interstate 90, and so because that's a straight shot to Montana. So I'm just trying to think if it comes from Montana, it comes this way, it's going to be literally it could come here before it went south through Iowa and into Missouri.
Well, that'd be for you,
38,
JYD.
38 is
think?
in Nebraska though. So it's going through North Dakota to Nebraska, then down to Kansas, then up. So it's kind of going away from you, kind of right around is the thing. So
Yeah,
Right,
well,
zigzag
I
in and
mean,
out.
if you think about what I've heard so far, it's kind of like going east and then going south and then going east again and then going north again. And then if it comes to me, then it would go west again and then it'd have to go south again. So that thing's doing a hoop-de-doo,
It is.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
Well, but, it is what it is. I mean, I'm just throwing it out there. If you want me to step in and do something on this,
Oh,
I mean, I'll
don't
donate
get me
some
wrong.
time.
We would love to have you do it. but we just have to figure out the logistics of getting it to you so that you can put your hands on it.
Well, that brings
Right.
up another point that I wanted to ask Vic is, do we have any type of schedule at all? I know it's tough and that's a loaded question, but where things are going to be even roughly, you know, so that other guys can plan where it's going to be, when they're going to have it, how long they're going to have it, things like that.
Tom is taking it from his spot to Necromancer in late May. So it'll start moving. And I don't imagine those guys are going to be doing, you know, complete motor pulls or anything like that stuff. So you'll probably have it in your hands by late June.
Late June?
Yeah,
Boy,
at latest.
Yeah, that's
Start getting close, cutting it close.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I was expecting it to move a little quicker than it has been. Not saying anything bad about anything that's happened so far, but I'm just saying, you know, I mean, late June, that's already July, and it hasn't even gotten to Nebraska yet to do, you know, or Kansas or Wisconsin.
Well,
That's
but that
July,
being-
and you want it by August, that's only 1 month. You know,
But
what I
that
mean?
being said, there are 3 or 4 of you all at once that are going to be working on it with 38 POS, and then there's 3 or 4
I don't know if
again.
that's for sure. Is that a for sure thing, or
Oh, that's up to Ray, I guess. Really.
Well, it kind of depends on what we want to accomplish and what kind of, I mean, whether my facilities will accommodate such things.
right? And everybody's time schedule too, because not
Absolutely.
everybody can take a week or 2 weeks to work on a car at your place. They could maybe do a weekend or something, which you can get a
I
lot done.
expect weekend is going to be
Yeah.
about it because I can't take
Okay.
time off now because I've already got my time off scheduled sometime in September for this little thing down in Sykeston I like going to.
Yeah.
So
Well, the other thing is any reputable shop, myself included with that, and I'm reasonably reputable. Any reputable shop is got a workload, you know, and
Mhm.
like for the most part, I'm booked out 2 years or longer at this point. And I would be squeezing this thing in and ramming through it on a Saturday and making a bunch of parts, welding it up quick and do a bunch of dum-dum work and then throw some primer on it and go, see ya. You know, I mean, that's how it's going to have to be, is I'm going to have to just drop whatever I'm doing and do my part in it and, you know, like put my time in it and just designate that day is focused on that. It's kind of like how Jamie was doing the thing, you know, when he got some free time, he was going to get it back to in running status, and then he had to stop, and then he had to do the carburetor work, and he's mentioned that really needs to change. I mean, the carburetor area and things like that. He's said that's for the dependability of it starting and running and driving, because it's got a 1920 on it or something on it right now. Yeah. Well, that's a dumpster fodder special. Me and Jamie totally have no love for those things at all. You know, I would smash one in my driveway with a maul.
well, at this point, Jamie's
hold
got it
nothing
where
back
it
there,
will load and
cuz.
unload.
Jeez.
I'm sorry, Ray. What'd you say?
I said what Jamie has accomplished is nothing less than it will load itself on a trailer and unload off a trailer,
Exactly.
which makes it a
Right.
whole lot more convenient for anybody else that touches that car,
Right.
because they don't have to push it, drag it, you know, take 3 people to move it.
Well, then Tom's stepping in the ring and putting a fuel tank in it so that it can breathe on its own instead of a cocktail bottle underneath the hood. You know, I mean, it can draw its own fuel and maybe stay running. And then Jamie said, I swear he told me a week or 2 ago on the phone that he had a carburetor that he could convert it over, and then it would be dependable. You could turn the key, vroom, and it would fire up, and then you could just go drive it. You know, people could drive it in and out of their shop. And that is a huge plus. And
Yeah.
Jamie's the guy, man. I'm telling you right now, that man is the 6-cylinder god. He can make those old buggers run. And I'm sure he would find the time to do that, you know, once it goes to rocket for a fuel tank.
Yeah.
You know, 'cause Jamie's over to Rocket all the time anyway, because that's his other job.
Yeah. It's actually headed up there tomorrow.
Okay. I
Um,
actually have a car still sitting up there too. I bought a 67 Coronet from Tom, and it's still sitting there. I've just been so busy. I couldn't even begin to schedule time to get it shipped here, and I hope to get that shipped out.
Hell, send me a
Yeah.
few bucks. I'll drive it home for you.
Okay.
There you go.
Yeah, we're good. Matter of fact, Jamie said it should make it, but I don't know why I did that. That was a whim. I already have one Coronet. Why'd I buy another one?
Because
So,
they're cool.
yeah, well,
Don't
it's
have
rat
to,
rod black. It's all rat rod black, and I wanted to put like Cooper white letter tires on it and leave the stock rims on it, or maybe throw bottle cap rims on it. You know, so it just looks like this old hot rod. You know, and then just drive it around until my blown Coronet comes out, and then I'd probably off that Coronet, and
Well-
I'll put it on the market and sell it.
It seems that scheduling is starting to become an issue, which is why I wanted to start this as early as possible. If we can get some folks to donate to the Patreon, we can start paying for our own transportation. That way, it's not reliant on the shops to get it, and we can accelerate this all way faster than it's going now, rather than having to wait on other folks' schedules.
Yeah, because there's quite a few drives in there that's going to take you a day or two.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, it would if I had to go to Milwaukee to pick up Stone Soup. You know, that's 14 hours there and back. I mean,
Yeah.
I went out there with my buddy to get a boat that is in my collection, and went to Milwaukee for that. And we started early in the morning, and we got back here at 9-10 o'clock at night. So, of
that
course,
day's
you
shot.
know, that's there was a lot of talking and carrying on and stopping for lunch and fiddle farting around, too.
Right.
So I mean, me and Larry made a day of it, but so there's another day, in the grand scheme of scheduling, for transportation, and maybe, somebody's going to have to try to schedule that in. I mean, I deal with a lot of people that transport stuff in and out of here all the time, from all over the United States. And, transportation is really can be a bugger sometimes. Donnie, I have a question for you. Whose facilities are you going to use to paint it? Are you going to fly in with a paint gun and?
Well, that's what I did last time when I painted a garbage can. I shipped all my material up there, and I said, okay, I'll see you in October. And that's how I went. I mean, I literally shipped Bondo and body filler and glazing putty and high build and you name it. I shipped all that.
Right. And then you just flew in and did your thing and left.
Flew out.
Exactly. So where are you flying into? Because
We haven't got that far yet.
well,
I don't even know.
So my question is that, where's it going to get painted and whose shop's it getting painted in too that's another thing you might want to look at in the grand scheme of all this too, because you do want to put a paint job on at least half of it. And
Yeah. We're all stuck in the half.
so I think that's a really cool idea. I really do. I think leaving half of it.
What was that villain called? Two-Face?
Two-Face from Batman.
Yeah, Two-Face. But I am going to have to dip soon because I am at 5% battery life because I'm an idiot and didn't charge this thing. But
yeah, I gotta hit it too. I just want to step in about the sheet metal work and how it could potentially end up here, and that's was my big thing. And I didn't plan on running my mouth too awful much. But.
Well, I mean, I'm gonna eventually get back on Red Baron. The Red Baron video will be coming out soon. You'll see a lot of that. You'll definitely be able to see Nina Jacobson. I'm telling you, she's gonna be a bad driver. So I'm just slow. I'm slow, and I know my weaknesses. So that's what I got to do. And I can't.
Sounds like I'll be making two of them for you.
Yeah.
Well, I'm,
Sounds
oh
like
yeah. By
one
the
for
way,
her, one for me. So,
oh,
but I'm gonna dip out of here, guys. I appreciate everything. I appreciate you having me on, Vic. And if
Yeah.
there's anything I can do for Stone Soup, let me know, man.
Donnie, we love you, man. Be safe.
see
Huh?
you,
All right. Thank you much, man. Thank
talk
you,
to you
guys.
soon, Donnie.
Yes, sir.
So I gotta bounce too, but I was just thinking about, you said you would try to take on my 72 Roadrunner and do a little tribute car for that.
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
Don't know exactly because 72's got a different grill, but they did make some die-cast 71s, but that's a different hood. So you'd have to try to find the right hood because mine's a louvered hood. My car's a one of one, so it's really unique. It's got Superbird decals in the dog legs. It was a special ordered car. And then, of course, I turned it into a race car in 1979. So it just kind of went down a bad path.
Hey, babe.
But
Will you hand me Max Wedge Stick Dastardly's Max Wedge over here, please? I want to show you something.
okay.
I kind of had a thought on the paint scheme idea that with the body lines that this car has, I mean, very sculpted swoop and carries back. What if, since that's where a lot of the repairs are going to be is under that area, what if that area was painted the black or whatever, and then where it comes out of underneath that body line on the front fender and under the door, at that point, fade it into the patina, and then at the sculpted line in the rear quarter, under that line, black where the repairs have been done, and carry that black all the way to the back. And
You're
and
saying
You
leaving
could
like
step it off.
top half
You
of
could
it.
step
painted.
it off like a blend. Yeah, they can't put a picture of my Chris Craft in here, but I understand what you're saying. I've got a 35-foot Chris Craft offshore boat, and that is like blue in the front, and it just fades to a white down the side of the boat, and that would be very easy to do. And Donnie can handle that, no problem. He can just fan the paint off like a blend. He's very good at doing that sort of stuff. So he could fan it off in the blend area in the front and the back, so it would highlight the lower half of the car. And that body line has a molding on it, I think.
Yeah,
so that would break
should.
it up. And then leave the whole upper part of it platina. That is a very, very cool idea. There's a million different ways to skin a cat on this thing, and it's all comes down to whatever Vic decides that he wants. And,
that's just another idea that bounced in my head while we were talking. And
that's another idea. Yeah. Cause that I haven't seen that done with half patina and half,
no,
Yeah.
I haven't either. I've seen cars that have been painted down through the center and half of that perfect and half not. I've seen boats restored that way too.
But that blend from top to bottom, not so much, huh?
Well, what do you mean now, Vic?
I said that, but the blend from top to bottom, not so much. You haven't seen that?
No, I don't know if I've been to a bazillion car shows and such, and I've never seen anybody trick the bottom of it and leave the upper half. I've seen them do a tape line down the center of the car and have one side perfect and the other side patina. But I've never seen it done the way that was just suggested, because that would be neat as hell to have everything from that chrome body line down be done perfect, which is where all the boo-boos are anyway.
Yeah.
That's where the work's going to be.
Yeah, so just do all that down there and you just leave the upper half. And if it was a two-tone black and white, it's still got that whole Stone Soup thing going for it.
Yeah.
That's really a very interesting paint scheme. I've been doing custom
then you
paint.
can still do the deck lid and the hood if you wanted black too, so it would kind of tie it all together. If you wanted the nice black deck lid like you were talking for the logos and stuff.
It'd be pretty hard to. It would be pretty hard to do it like that and have it look right, because that's the upper half of the car. Where that molding comes back across by the taillight, that's where you'd have to cut the paint work there. If you if you go up onto the deck lid, then that would look kind of weird. You
Well,
know,
we could still do the spare deck lid.
right.
Oh, there you
Do
go.
the spare
Have
deck
that
lid
on
and-
there.
There
Yeah.
you
I
go.
mean, that spare deck lid idea where it has the channel logos and all the contributors and such as that, and have that on the car, but have the original deck lid, clear coated or whatever preservative that's getting. So
I have also
you can do it
seen
either way.
guys. I've seen guys take and leave the patina deck lid and then paint the underside of the deck lid, and then like a bazillion guys sign, with a paint pen, they sign, the underside of the deck lid. I've seen it on a gazillion race cars. I was friends with Ronnie Sox, and I don't know how many deck lids that man signed. And same thing goes for, he signed a set of valve covers off of one of his Hemi motors for me. And then, but I've seen Dick Landy do it. I've seen Grumpy Jenkins do it. I've seen all these old time racers, these tribute cars that are made. I've seen these guys go out there and, the underside of the deck lid is, all got everybody's signature on it. So that's, again, these are a multitude of ideas, kind of the sounding board thing. And I think they're all fantastic ideas. Poor Vic. You seen what all our ideas have turned him into, this little dude, with the thumbs up.
Well, yeah,
We've overwhelmed the poor man.
No, my wife is kind of camera shy, and I'm trying to respect that. So, I wanted to show you, Rooster. We can do quite a bit of fun stuff, and your car doesn't have to be exact. It doesn't have to be a factory vehicle. Like, I'm sure you recognize that one.
Yep, that's a Duster. Yeah, 73 Duster.
That is. Oh,
I have one of those.
I can blow this up. Sorry, I can do this. There we go. That is Dick Landy's Duster. And Patrick owns this, and he's actually in the chat somewhere.
Yeah, I really find that amazing that Dick Landy ever had a Plymouth, because he was the Dodge contributor and sponsored.
But
that's a rarity.
But you were talking about the oddities. This is Max Wedge Dick Dastardly's Savoy. We can do just about anything that you'd like us to do. Might take us a while, like with the Brat Fink, which I'm still not thrilled with that one, but we're getting better at it. But we can do just about anything you'd like to do.
That's neat. Well, let's see. As you can see in my diecast world here, it's pretty much Sox and Martin and Dick Landy over there, and I'll reach up here and I'll grab the closest I've got that I bought this off eBay. Is I bought this Roadrunner here, and it's got the wrong grill and a custom grill, but where are we going? There we go. But that's what my hood looks like, okay, on my Roadrunner. So don't mind the dust, but I mean, this is and I've got the stripe kit that goes over the side in white, and but it's got the half top where it just goes across here, and this white, and then the rest is brown. And my car is really, really weird. But if you got the color scheme of the car right, that would be something. And then the white stripes across the strobe stripe. They called it a Ram Charger kit, strobe kit. And if you got all that right, that'd be as close as you need to be. And then in the dog legs, which right here in the dog leg here, there's the Superbird emblem is in here. The decal that you'd normally see on the Superbird. Yeah. Well, that was ordered on the car. So that pretty much nailed it as a 101. And I got the build sheet for the car and all that stuff. I have a real addiction with them. You could do my other car, my 70 Charger too, for that matter. What I do, I stuck my hand where it don't belong. But if you can see that yellow Charger in the up there.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. my 70 Charger is being cloned into that identical car. So the one I bought down in Oklahoma in 1980 for $875 and drove it home. That was a real treat too. That's a story in itself. And Jamie wants me to tell that story too, because it's involved and it's hilarious. When me and my buddy Lonnie drove down there on a Friday night to go get the car, yeah, and then the whole trip coming back was like the trip from hell. So that's a story for another day. But yeah, so there's other options that don't have to be my Roadrunner. Whatever you feel comfortable doing, just do your magic. I mean, you do some incredible work.
I appreciate that.
I'm serious. I've seen a bunch of the stuff you've done. Mopar Joe's a good friend of mine too, and what you did for his car. I mean, he's just elated, about that. And he was just going like, my God, that man has got some skills. Holy Christ. Jamie went nuts over the decal intricacy of the decals that were spot on about his Demon. And he just, you weren't happy, Vic, you weren't happy with the color. Wasn't quite right. I mean, I remember you complaining about that in your video, but yeah, I mean, everything about the car is dead on Dale's Demon, but that's a skill. I mean, seriously, this is very hard to do. I was a professional model builder, and I've got 1,000 models here in my model shop. And I'm going to tell you, doing 124 scale stuff is hard enough. But then when you shift gears and you go to 164 scale, yeah, that's a league of your own right there.
Well,
thank you very much. I will not drive in that wheelhouse.
Well, I appreciate it, man. It's definitely lent itself to me meeting some of the finest people in the community, So, because everybody wants to see that.
Yeah, I mean, to create these tribute cars like the Savoy and the Duster and the Demon and all these other cars that you've done. I mean, at your channel, you got some cool stuff out there, and it's just, I don't know. I just think that your skill level is off the charts, and you should be, thanked for what you bring to the table here for everybody.
Very much appreciated. Thank you.
Yeah, I do have to bounce, guys. I've got my son just pulled up in the 4-wheeler, and we got some business we got to talk about, and I got to bounce. But I will drop you an email, and we'll get connected up that way, so you have my phone number, and so you can do the 1-800-RAT app, and give me a call, and we can figure out where to go with things from there. Right. If I can be a part of this, that's fine. If it just logistically is impossible, you brought up about me hammering out some sheet metal, and that just, it would never fit. I mean, it would be a waste of my time and effort to build something
that you couldn't put your hands on.
I would fit it right to the car. I'd make the piece. I'd fit it to the car. I'd weld it up. I'd make it in probably an hour's time, roll it out and make it in an hour's time. And I would fit it up to the car, and I'd just zap it on there, weld it on, and, and down the road she goes.
Roger that.
So, yeah, I mean, that's body work. I've been doing that since 76, so I can bang stuff out pretty quick. And so it just, just do whatever needs doing, I guess.
Roger that.
Okay. So, yeah, as far as the repower, I mean, you could talk to the other guys around down there, the repower part of it. If Jamie's confident that 6-cylinder is going to just propel the car around, that's going to be fine. It's not going to be any kind of speed demon, I'd be hard pressed to do 60, 65 miles an hour with a tired slant 6. But if you could, I know a 318 poly would probably drop in there pretty easily. And that's a dependable motor and a pretty good, it'll scoot it around pretty good. And you can get those. You can get a used one of those pretty easily. So there's guys out there that have them too. Because they pulled the polys out to put something ridiculous in. Yeah. So then you'd end up with a motor and a tranny and all that. But then you get a whole new bucket of expenses. You know, that's
Right.
the other thing too. So, hey, I got to bounce, guys. It was great chatting with all of you.
Absolutely.
Some fantastic ideas got cut loose here, and I really appreciate you having me on. And we'll be in touch.
Absolutely. Be safe, sir.
Yep. See you later.
I'll be planning on the record getting done. I thought you were already doing that, Mike. But anyway, so we hammered out some craziness and found some more craziness.
Well, there's always options, and lots of people think different ways about how to do. You know, like Rooster said, you know, how many ways is there to skin a cat? We don't know.
Yeah.
So, and not, you know, just because it's a different idea doesn't mean it's a bad idea.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I think that if we're going to, like Rooster said, repower it, I think I'd really want Jamie's blessing with that, you know, considering all the work that he's done to the motor to get it to move. But he doesn't seem to be the kind of guy to be like, well, yeah, you know, I don't want you to do that.
Well, I think, yeah, definitely that you should at least get his opinion and consult him on it, and maybe just consult him on it and get a feeling for how he feels about it. But also that if it's going to get repowered, that decision needs to be made early.
Get a feeling for how he feels about it.
So nobody else, you know, puts more into that engine, and then it gets ripped out and you know, a poly 318 or whatever, you know, gets dropped in there.
Sorry, JYD, you were talking, but we couldn't make you out.
Yeah, I grabbed my phone to let the dogs out, and when I came back in, it was echoing. It was just
okay.
Echoing. So I muted my phone. Sorry. I was listening while I was outside there, so.
Gotcha.
But yeah, and my thoughts on the repowering it would be cool. The other thing you got to consider is the timeline. You know,
yeah,
if you're going to pull it out, I mean, we're already on a crunch. The V6 or the Slant 6 is already running, so you know,
for the most part,
tweak a little bit, but it's there. You know what I mean? The car is moving; it has potential to just be there and get it. I mean, the whole plan is to get it from point A to point B and a functional car by the time it gets there, right? Would it be cooler if it had a big block? Yeah, maybe, but you know, the Slant 6 is there at least, is what I'm saying. You know, and to pull it, put something else in, that's a whole nother undertaking. So
there's enough of the car left to concentrate on that we don't need to change engines.
Right.
So it could go either way, you know.
Now that said, what about a little more oomph under the hood? Is there anything that we can do to that Slant 6 to give it some more gusto that won't blow the motor to pieces? You know.
There's lots of guys.
There's some bad V6s, or I keep saying V6, Slant 6s out there. If you look at there's events just for Slant 6s. You can look on YouTube and you see there's one, Buzz and Dozen, I think it's called. They're fast little cars. They can be fast. There's no question about it.
There's money though.
Yeah, exactly. So dollar for dollar, would you be better off starting with a V8 power plant? Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, this one could be livened up a little bit. Didn't the later model Slants have a 2-barrel carburetor intake? I don't know if there's a better choice than exhaust manifold for flow. You don't get too wild on that stuff unless you do something on the head, because that's the next restriction. But if you just, you know, maybe go to a 2-barrel intake for it, then you can get a little bit more out of it without a big expensive 2-barrel intake. Factory one probably is not going to set somebody back a painful amount and get rid of that 1920 carb on there.
Yeah.
You know, little stuff like that. Electronic ignition, just that's not a bad idea. Doing the points on one of those kind of a pain in the ass. So
now to that particular point, no pun intended. they make a distributor, pointsless distributor for that now, don't they? I vaguely remember having a
Mopar
Slant
did.
6 that, huh?
Chrysler had electronic ignition for those. I mean, you could get a factory electronic distributor and put in there.
Later models, taking one from a later model one.
Yeah, 70s, later 70s.
Right.
Would it just drop in? There's no modification to it. There's no
Not to
nothing
the
you have
engine,
to do?
no. You got to do some wiring.
Well, Patrick, you're the guy who mentioned doing the wiring. What do you think?
I mean,
He's in the comments.
yeah, it wouldn't be at all, difficult to do that if you had a electronic Chrysler distributor. You throw it in,
Distributor and then the
Module
electronic
one.
box. Yeah.
or convert it to an HEI module, which is a common thing, or whatever.
Right.
Donnie just sent me that. Does that look familiar to you guys?
That's a little
Yeah,
more
that's
than that
Poker.
engine needs.
Yeah.
Patrick says I had an electronic distributor in my 73 Dart 4-door, drops right in.
Yeah, that modification should not at all be difficult. I mean,
And I'm
that's
assuming that there's no other changes to it, right? The firing order is going to be the same, etc.
Oh, that's all the same.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
firing orders based on the crank and the cam, not the distributor.
Oh, okay.
So, and that's one other thing too. If at some point you got to make the decision: are you going to stay with the slant? Because if anybody has any idea of pulling it and putting in a V8, so somebody doesn't go through all the work of building up or started collecting parts for the slant, and then all of a sudden somebody halfway down the line swaps it, and then it's like, well, that was kind of a moot point to
yeah.
Yeah, if I grabbed up, the electronic distributor, maybe found a 2-barrel intake and a better stock exhaust manifold or whatever, had it sitting here for when the car gets here, and it's got a Poly 318 when it gets here, that's not going to be really. I'm not going to feel good about that.
Right. Okay,
I've
then
got
why don't we make the elective decision right now to leave the stock motor in the car?
I think that's a wise decision.
If nothing else, just make it so that it's still the 225 slant 6. So if somebody down the line has a 225 out of a wrecked Volare or something that's better, they can stick it in there and put everything back on the motor that has been done to it so far.
That's good.
Okay.
If plans are to go engine swap, V8 swap, or whatever, do it after September.
Right? Yeah, when it's actually here.
Right.
Okay.
Well, and there's
Yeah.
not a timeline.
Right.
There's not a deadline for it to be someplace functioning.
Right.
Because
Sorry, Donnie keeps texting me. Donnie, stop texting me.
once you start into modifying it like that, and I have very little Chrysler experience, but I've put stuff in places it shouldn't have gone and didn't get in trouble for it. But you think this is easy, it's a drop in. This will go right. And when does that ever happen?
Right. Yeah, I've never experienced that
So
myself.
then,
Right.
I mean, you drop a 318 poly or whatever. You got throttle linkage to deal with. You got steering linkage maybe to deal with. You've got clutch linkage if you're keeping it stick, shifter linkage, whichever way, drive shaft link, cooling system, exhaust. It's not, we'll just plop this one in, throw this one in, and we're good.
Right.
Unless it's the same thing that was in there.
Donnie says we ran that. He's talking about that intake with a stock motor and a header with a 450 carb, and it ran phenomenally.
Well, let's justify the engine that's in the car first.
I think that's a good point.
See what it is. Get a compression check.
Exactly.
I mean, it runs. That's, and I didn't see a big plume of smoke behind it either. But
It's probably because it was coming out from underneath the doors.
well, disguise it as you will.
But yeah, I think you should do a health check on the engine to see where it's at. The internals of it. Is a compression test would be the first thing to start with, and see if there's a cylinder that's down. At that point, then maybe consider it or something.
I'm
Where to
pretty
put
sure the Junkyard Necromancer is set up to be able to do that. If not, maybe even Tom. I could ask Tom what he thinks if he's able to do it.
That would help the people down the line.
Yeah.
Right.
Which, the way this car is traveling, that is an important step, as much as actually doing something on the car, is to
Okay.
figure out exactly what we're dealing with. To know that this is solid, it will run, and I didn't hear any nasty clattering or anything like that out of it in Jamie's videos, so it's not like there's a rod about half out of the block already, which is it's
Right.
handy. That's good, but if we know if it does have a cylinder down and somebody has the ability to check, does it need a valve job, or are the rings gone on that
Right.
cylinder or whatever? And it could also be that its health will improve as it heat cycles and gets some time on it, because it sat for so long. It's getting
Yeah.
a finish back on things that are supposed to have a finish. Or it could mean that it's destroying itself and it's going to get worse. I mean, it happens both ways.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. From what I understand about those slant sixes, though, you can run them clean out of oil, and they're basically the AK-47 of the engine world. So
Yeah,
I
it
don't
will
know.
still run, but how well?
right.
I mean,
Well, okay. Then
I've driven a car that had the rod hanging out the side of the block. It still ran and drove. You don't want that.
flopping around outside the block.
No, it was clear. It was clear out.
Jeez.
mean,
I bet you
drove-
that thing sounded like hell, too.
No, it wasn't even knocking anymore. It blew it clear out of the way. I don't recommend it, and you should have a backup plan or good shoes, but it made it back home, which is the only thing it did, and then it got torn apart. But just because you can doesn't mean it's good.
Yeah. Well, all right.
I'll be right back. Let my dogs in.
Okay.
So,
Well, we need to. We definitely need to get some funds put together, I think, for the folks that are going to be working on the car. If nothing else, for transportation, dragging the car to and from their shops, and materials and things like that. So, to that end, I've started that Patreon. We have one donor so far, one Patreon patron. So
contributor.
yeah. But I figure, if somebody's like, hey, I've done this work so far and we've got to this point, but we need new seals for the carb. Otherwise, all we've done is just basic maintenance stuff, that we'd be able to send them the funds to go grab a new carb set, but yeah, so the Patreon is really for everybody to have what they need when the car gets there. So
Yeah. And there's some stuff that we are a resourceful type
yeah,
that somebody with a Mopar they're ripping the slant out of it and they're going to throw it in the iron pile.
yeah,
Okay, it's got 2-barrel intake on it. You got the air cleaner, you got the carburetor. Maybe you get the throttle cable too, and exhaust manifold and electronic ignition or whatever off of it. I mean, the engine could be shot, could have the hole in the block, but these external components, they're just throwing in the iron. So you maybe got to give them $10 for a 6-pack of beer.
yeah,
And with the number of people, associations that the whole group of us have, stuff like that might not be difficult to come up with. As long as we know that we're going to need it, then we'll go find it.
right,
I got a brother who's got a 62 Valiant, and he's got, if I swap it out of his car, he's got the 3 on the tree column. He's going floor shift, so he doesn't care for it. He's got another column to go in it. I just have to, spend an afternoon swapping around. There is all the shift linkage and
Yeah.
the column that's not broke and all that. But if that's not going to be what it is when it gets here, I have other things to be doing.
Right.
I mean, I got a car that's supposed to be put together and down to Sykeston too that's further behind than the Lancer.
Mm.
Well, and that brings up a good point too. I know Scott had volunteered to try to straighten out that grill, and that's awesome. But Scott's got a big project going of his own too, that he wants to get a car there by September, and he's got a huge undertaking. You know what I mean?
Well, Hobbit
Yeah,
is
I
moving
don't
out,
ever,
man.
I don't feel comfortable asking him for another hair off his head. You know what I
Right.
mean?
But he seems eager to do it. He said he's done it before. He's comfortable with straightening that grill, and he's, and that's cool. If you can use that grill and straighten it out, that's what the project is about. Even
Right.
though, Racer, you found a nice grill, that one looked awesome. I think that's the same grill. But, if you can utilize what's there, like say, be resourceful and fix what's on there, even better. But like
Right.
say, Scott,
And if he does a video on it, we'll learn something.
right.
Yeah.
I'd sure like to know how to straighten aluminum, but
Yeah.
It would be handy, wouldn't it?
yeah, I got a lot of aluminum trim on my car that I would like to know how to take the dents out of.
Well, I'll tell you the one thing that really stuck out to my uneducated eye that we could use off of that other car, that is that core support, or the
Yeah.
the grill support, or whatever you want to call it.
Radiator support, grill support, core
Yeah.
support.
Are you headed in? All right.
I'm
well,
not sure if I could. It depends on how this guy would like to treat me. I know he does it for, he takes cuts the front ends for wall hangings.
No.
So, whether he would be all right if I cut the whole front sheet metal off 8 inches back, then we got everything.
Yeah.
Right.
If it needs the side panels that the radiator mounts to, they'll be there. I mean, I know how to run a Sawzall. I got two batteries. I could probably do it,
Yeah.
Just don't go around Uncle Tony. The Sawzall.
I think I'll stay away from that one. I wouldn't beat him anyhow. So he can't make the same bet with me. But I mean, we could just chop it off. You don't have to play in the dirt where this car is not real accessible underneath. I got a foot long Sawzall blade that'll reach it,
Yeah.
and we could cut the front end off and have everything. The battery tray that just unbolts, or it breaks
Right.
the bolts. Either way, it's off. And yeah, I don't want to step on anybody's toes with this one, but yeah, Scott has got himself a multi-year project he's going to try to get done and running by September.
In 4 months. Yeah.
Yeah.
How many people are going to look at that and say there's a possibility that thing's going to roll itself out onto the driveway in 4 months?
If anybody can do it, I believe it's Scott. But
I mean,
geez,
if I was doing it, it would not roll in 4 months.
Yeah, no way.
It just no.
wow.
So if
Go ahead.
I guess
how
if
far
Scott
away-
wants to do the grill, let
How
him.
far away is that car from you?
About an hour.
Okay. Did you talk prices with him or anything, or what he
No,
would
I did not,
part with
because
or anything, or
I mean everything's available off of it. That much I know, but I didn't know where we were and what we were needing, so I couldn't make a list. I said these are some things I'm interested in. I'm pretty sure we're interested in. And I've known the guy. He's a good guy. I don't believe he's got a YouTube channel. He's yards bid on some YouTube channels, but I don't think he's got one. He took up just last year he started doing drag and drive events, So he's
So
getting
he has a car. He has a cool car.
71 Torino wagon.
Oh, a unique car that maybe somebody could make a little miniature one of to sweeten the pot a little bit, maybe.
Jesus, man, a Torino wagon. Do you have any idea? I hate wagons.
This one you wouldn't have to do body mods on. Yeah, if you want.
I was thinking honestly, if the guy was willing to maybe have some business dragged over to him, we could put him front and center in the video. We take the parts that we need and say, you guys, if you're in this area, you need to go to this yard. You know, maybe at least make him couple $100. You know.
Yeah, he's been on a couple of YouTubes in the last month. There's been at least 2 tours of his yard, and he says he definitely noticed the difference there.
Really?
Well,
in activity.
We're building a lot of steam with this. I mean, think he'd be interested?
He might. I can run it by him if I can get back over there. It would be more of a face-to-face discussion.
Right.
Yeah. Well, it's just part of the negotiation. You talk to him and see, feel him out. But
oh yeah, bring some.
Was one of his tours done by what's that? Iowa something.
Iowa Classic Cars.
Yeah, where he does a lot of junkyard crawls and stuff.
Yep, he's been there.
Okay.
Yeah, that's Ryan over there at Iowa Classic Cars. I've known him for some time, and we've done business, and I've been to his place, and he's been to my place.
Okay.
Man,
we both seem to be into the same particular kind of automobiles. So he's into 59 Chevys, and I'm into 59 Chevys. I mean, he shot video at my place years ago.
Man. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm trying to run through my brain as far as all the stuff that we might need and other places and the car itself. And I'm sorry, I'm kind of getting overwhelmed with it.
Don't do that. Hey, we're supposed to be having fun with this. This is a fun project. So you said yourself you don't want to stress anybody out, let alone yourself. But
well, yeah, my biggest issue right now, like I said, is time. I mean, if we had 2 years, this wouldn't be a big deal at all. But we've got 4 months.
And that's sort of part of the adventure of it too.
Yeah.
Right.
And the stress.
Right.
Well,
but good find though. Good find. I like the that dash panel or the instrument cluster and the ignition module on there, or ignition switch on there. Looks pretty good. And yeah, all that. That's good.
I remember what I was going to say. What about keys? Did you happen to see any keys in that thing?
I did not, but there are some locks, and I have in those eras, all the locks are keyed the same. I have some experience with the locking mechanisms. Not much Mopar, quite a bit in old GMs. And I might be able to, if I take the locks out of this one, say, I might be able to come up with a key for these locks, and then they could be put into the Stone Soup.
Okay.
I've tried to find, old GMs had a key code stamped into the lock. So you pull the door cylinder out, there's a 4-digit code on the lock stamped into it.
Mm-hmm.
That's the key cut code if you have access to the book with the key cuts. And then from that, you can make a key just from those numbers.
Yeah.
I don't know that Mopar did that. I think that number was in the original owner literature. And maybe it had a little tag that was on the keychain that had the numbers. Store in a safe place or record and destroy, whatever.
Well, I figure that old, it's entirely possible we might find it on the internet.
There's got to be a code for that set of locks.
Yes, but I'm saying the how you can decipher the code.
Well, I have that.
Oh, you do? Okay. Huh.
I have that. I have the equipment to do it. but you have to have the code.
You know, I seem to remember knowing or remember there's somebody on YouTube that knows how to cut keys and stuff, and she might very well be in this in this fucking stream.
I've done a video on key cutting.
Hmm.
It was a short one, but there's also a possibility that one of the locks could be disassembled without destroying it, and just from the pieces in the lock, I can make a key. Glove box locks usually come apart. If it has a locking glove box, then there's a good start on knowing what the key is supposed to look like. If I can take that apart without destroying, or even if I do, who cares if you got a locking glove box? If that results in the keys for everything else, then sacrifice the glove box lock.
Yeah.
And if a key can be made from that, I don't know if Mopar does it. GM doesn't use all the tumblers in a glove box lock as it does the ignition or the doors. You get 4 out of 6 out of the glove box, which leaves only 2 cuts you got to guess on.
Yeah.
And there's only 4 or 5 depths of cut. It limits how much guessing you got to do if you get that far. So I'm sure the door locks and the trunk lock can be removed without damaging them. I'm not sure if you can actually remove the ignition switch without taking the barrel out of it. Some GMs you can, some GMs you can't. Here I'm going back to GM. We're working on Mopar. But if you can actually remove the switch without having to have the barrel out of it, then I could get that and bring it home and play with it.
Yeah.
And I would have time to guess until I get it right.
Well, that might be something to look into, because rather than having to hotwire it every time like you're going onto the mud pits, might be a better idea to have a key that we can just turn and go. So
has anybody opened the trunk yet?
No, I told Jamie that you might just be able to go over there and lift the damn thing up. He's like, I'm going to try that, and I haven't heard anything since. So
I mean,
I don't know.
If I can get the lock stuff out of this one, then we would have one, and you could sacrifice the one that's in there. I always pull the back seat out, use 6 foot of extension, and take the latch off, so I can do it without damaging things. And maybe 8 foot on the cars I have, but
find a small neighbor kid to crawl back there.
Patrick says the ignition switch is in the dash. It's easy. Just did one on a 69 Dart.
Okay, so I don't have to pull the tumbler, the barrel out of it to remove the switch. Okay, not a problem. Then we can bring it home. Yeah, Colleen, the code is more readily available for a later model, and I'm going to call 87 Dodge Ram late model. Some of it you can get from your dealership if you have the VIN. They put it in the computer system, and there it is. This thing, that's not going to be a choice. Maybe it's in the glove box. Who knows? I doubt it. And I don't want to dig through all the rat poo to find it.
She wanted to you to raise your hand if you'd give her a ring after the live. She sent you her number on an email.
Oh, okay. Maybe a little bit after the live. I got a thing to take care of first, but there's my hand up. I'll give you a shout. And I got to figure out how to get the comments so I can read them while I'm watching everything else.
Oh, you don't have them pulled up on StreamYard?
No.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's why you can't see it, Colleen. He's on the StreamYard screen, but he doesn't have the.
Are you on your PC or on your phone?
Oh, PC. Hey, look at that. You poke that button and there they are. Okay,
yeah.
Never mind.
And then you got to connect to actually comment on there. I think you got to, down at the bottom, it says
join the chat.
Join the chat. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to
go through a couple steps to
sign
get
in your
it.
Google or whatever. But
see what kind of mess I can make out of this.
Okay, well,
this is my second live I've ever been on.
Oh, hot damn.
Well, nope, third, because I was on one with you a little bit late.
Oh yeah. Well, okay, so we're good with at least the 6-cylinder in it, the 225.
I would say.
So we're not necessarily disallowing anybody to switch it out, but we're going to keep it as a 225.
If somebody's going to, let's get a heads up on it at least, as soon as possible. So that, like say, we don't want to be duplicating somebody's efforts. And that's opening another can of worms when we've got a running driving engine right now.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm not against it. It's just there's a time frame, and to open another can of worms, like say, what can go wrong will go wrong.
Right.
I would say save that for after September.
I'm sorry.
That can be Vic's next year. He can swap out the 426 Hemi in there and get all kinds of content on it for the 2025 No Name National. Because by that time you're going to be an expert. You still despise me for that, don't you?
I am beside myself.
Look in your eye, like, huh?
I said I am beside myself with rage.
It should be envy, not rage.
That too. No, okay, so I obviously don't have anywhere near as much experience with this stuff as you guys do. Okay. I mean, I get the gist. I understand that a 1920 carburetor is way worse than a 1945. I understand the difference between 6 cylinders and 8 cylinders. I get it. I'm not the quintessential car guy. I love cars. Don't get me wrong. My favorite is a 1970 Superbird. But
so you can build your little one.
Yeah. But I am not I'm not a car freak like some folks. I am definitely not Mark Werman. I can't stand that dude. He makes me want to punch my television.
You have the choice to change the channel.
Yeah, right. But I have learned so much just from you guys. And having the ability to interact with you has taught me so much. Like just listening to some of the stories, like what Rooster was talking about earlier, just talking and hanging out with guys like Dick Landy. I mean, holy shit, how cool would that have been? Be able to walk up and shake Don Garlitz's hand. How cool. But
you still can, and that's on my bucket list before he can't.
Yeah.
He's got his museum down in Florida I'd love to get to someday.
Yeah.
Before he passed, I think he's like 90 now or something.
And still stomping.
Yeah.
But what I was going to say is just having you guys in my corner is helping out a lot. Yes, I can change a wheel bearing now, and you're not funny. I know exactly. I could do it before. I just couldn't get down there to do it. Damn it. Okay. I got sidetracked. Okay. So we're going to at least keep the slant 6 in it.
Yeah. So one of the points I'd like to bring up earlier, we were talking about the deck lid and sending it up to you to get it painted. If there's any way we can coordinate any of those things, because you don't have to be working on the car while it's there, right? If we can get somehow parts ahead of time, so if people could be working on it in tandem, so to speak, what I mean? That would be great. But one of the things I thought of is, the wiring. If somebody wants to redo the whole wiring harness, you can unplug all the wiring and throw that in a box, send it to somebody. If you've got the wiring harness, you can rebuild the wiring harness, in your shop, in your living room, on the kitchen table if you have to. You know what I mean? So that when the car gets there, you got the wiring harness done, you plug it in, it's done, move on. So it's not sitting in one spot for another, 2 weeks while that wiring harness is being rebuilt. That's just an example.
No, but that's a really valid point.
If we find out that, hey, the heads are bad, I don't know how much a slant head is, but I'm like Racer was saying, there's probably a dozen of them at any local junkyard where you could get the head, rebuild that head, and just swap them out. Boom, it's done. You know what I mean? Another example. I'm not saying that has to be done, but just if we can help move the thing along as quickly as possible
Yeah.
with things like that, I think that would be a good idea too.
That would certainly accelerate the time at each shop if there's a pile of goodies to go on this when it gets here. Then you bring it in, you rip the old off, clean it up, put the new on, fresh, rebuilt, better than whatever.
Okay.
That would.
So what do we know? What do we know is being done so far? We know that oh God, his name is slipping me. Lovejoy. We know that Lovejoy wants to do the brakes. So we can tell him, hey, start gathering up all your parts and pieces and have them ready for when the car gets there. Patrick down there in the comments mentioned that he is really good at wiring. Is there a resource that we can look up and say this is the wiring harness for a 62 Lancer that he could just start copying the wiring harness right now?
Yeah, you get a schematic. Schematic will tell you where all the wires go, and they're probably pretty standard. I don't know. Like I say, I have never had an early Mopar, that early anyways, but I know my 66 is the same for the most part as my 67. As the early 70s, I worked on some of my buddies' cars, so they're all the same thing for the most part. There's a bulkhead on the firewall, 3 different plugs. One goes to the lighting system, the headlights, the blinkers, and all that stuff. One goes to ignition, and another one goes, I'm not even sure, to the transmission and neutral safety switch and all that stuff.
Right.
But that can be all unplugged. And then there's the internal, the dash wiring and so on that can be unplugged from the inside of the firewall and removed if possible. The only thing is, it's going to disable the car. So you could unplug the headlights and lights and stuff so you could still have ignition and everything else working, but the lights wouldn't work. You know what I mean? Like I say, and that's just an example. I'm not suggesting we do that or we could do that, but it's an option. So,
or if it's available and not a significant investment, I can rip the harness out of this 4-door.
That's a thought.
I don't know what it's like. I did not look at all at the harness on it.
Or what kind of condition it's in, because usually they get pretty crunchy and crusty and need to be rebuilt, basically,
You roll it up and stick it in a box, it's going to need work.
Well, what I was thinking is, if you can get that for a couple of bucks or even, word of mouth free, quote unquote, you can send that harness to Patrick and he can start replicating it right now.
Yeah. And then you'd have your length and location, all your plugs and everything too.
Right.
Because it's the same thing. You wouldn't have to allow an extra foot in case this moved on this car as compared to what you're normally working on. But
right. Eric says wiring diagrams are usually downloadable online. Maybe Patrick will look into that. I don't know. He mentioned that he was going to. He didn't say he was going to rewire the whole car, but he did say that he was going to take a look at the wiring when it was there. So I need to clarify and make sure that he doesn't think that I'm expecting him to rewire the whole car.
Maybe he already has the wiring harnesses access to it.
It's entirely possible. He is a Mopar freak.
We all got to be our own kind of freak. So
yeah. But that being said, the only other one that I really know of that was promising to do anything, Patrick says you can unhook and remove the entire dash harness back as long as the engine harness is in the car. In the car can be made to run.
Right.
It's in the car can be made to run. Yeah. But the only other one that I knew of was Ron. Ron Ward said that he was going to do some metal work. And I'm hoping that that's the floorboards, but I couldn't get any clarification from him on that yet.
See, and things like that, you have to, just like Rooster was saying, you can't build panels ahead of time. You've got to have the car there so you can form fit them, get them to fit right, tack them in, work and stuff. So there's some things that you can't do unless you have the car there. Brakes, it's hard to do a brake job without the car there. Now you can get
parts
extra parts. And the thing is, that's got the small bolt pattern on it. If you want to go to, excuse me, Doug, the larger bolt pattern, then you're going to have to get the different spindle and basically the whole brake assembly anyways.
Right.
So if we're going that route, we could get the second, get that replacement
Damien had
Good
said
one,
something about going. It's easy to swap to discs on the front, but that would, right there, that would change your bolt pattern to the 4 on 4.5.
Yep.
But then, what are you doing at the rear end? That's a spindly 7 1/4. If you could get a 7, I mean, I'm sure there's bolt-in 7 1/4s that have the larger pattern on it, but again, that's
Right.
more work.
Right.
So, I mean, that and parts issues of getting and supplying parts. I mean,
It'd
it's
probably
all
be easier to swap out the whole rear end to 8 3/4 than it would be to convert that 7 1/4 to a bigger bolt pattern.
Right.
well.
I'm thinking
You just
8 3/4, you can pull the whole center chunk, pull the axles out, put new axles in, put the chunk back in. You're done basically. The 7 1/4, you got.
you can get
pull everything.
there are later model 7 1/4s that'll fit the bolt in.
Are there?
You
Okay.
you would get rid of the ball and trunnion or whatever kind of U joints that drive shaft has because it doesn't have your normal spider cross type U joints in that drive shaft. But then you have to keep, if you change the rear end, then you got to move forward. So you got to do something with the drive shaft. Do something with the drive shaft. You got to make it match up with whatever transmission's in there. You start swapping stuff and it stacks up. This doesn't quite work with that, but we can change that. But then you end up with time and parts.
Right. No,
I
you have
would-
your drive shaft cut, and yeah, I mean, you're right. You're right. We start moving or changing stuff, you change stuff, and then the wheels. Like say, some people are looking for. Well, you're already working on wheels. It sounds like Vic, or have some picked out. Well, you don't want to spend a lot of time, reconditioning the small bolt pattern, and then somebody swaps it out to the large bolt pattern.
Yeah.
That's things we should know and coordinate so ahead of time. So again, they're not duplicating efforts. So.
I guess you could always go with Unilug slot max.
No, don't
I
do
hate them things.
Stock rims. Stock
That would
Steelies.
That would take care of the two different bolt patterns because it's all there. But I hate them, so we're not going there.
Patrick said the floor in that one is an ugly one to work in. I've done a 63 Dart. The replacement panel is actually wrong. I spent a ton of time making it work. So probably have to, when it goes over to Ron, just let him know, like, hey, don't get it off of Jags or whatever. Probably going to have to
Right.
do it.
Well, and is he ordering is he getting a whole floor pan for it, or is he just patching patchwork in? That's what I would do with this. I mean, again, my opinion. I mean, we're not doing a concourse restoration on this car, right? It doesn't have to be perfect, to the T, everything. So you get a piece of sheet metal and you hammer it in and you you fit it a little bit, weld it in, and we're going to put something over it anyways, right? Carpet or license plates or something. So it doesn't have to be perfect,
You just don't want your feet dragging on the ground.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm,
And don't drop
plus,
your
I don't know if you guys can tell or not, but I'm a pretty big dude. I don't want my ass on the ground either. So,
Say it ain't so.
well, that concerns me though, is, somebody might actually find a decent bench or something for it. And I got destroyed.
I
that
have-
car.
A set of bucket seats out of a 76 Aspen RT, which I've been told that the floor pan in the A bodies didn't change that much through the years, so getting them to fit in there shouldn't be an act of Congress.
Hmm.
They're not at all perfect. They are certainly better than the rat infested one you have.
Yeah.
I can certainly kick them in if it's at that point when it gets here. I don't have to buy them. I already have them sitting here.
What color?
White.
Match the car. That's cool as hell.
Like I said, they're not perfect. They're kind of crispy. That car sat. It got parked in the 80s until I scrapped it out last year.
Hmm.
So
Those are high back buckets.
Yep.
Yeah.
wrong era,
Wrong era a little bit. Yeah, but I
but
don't know.
your butt's got something to sit in.
Right.
That doesn't poke back.
Some people frown upon that. Yeah. But who cares, right?
Once it gets into this area, I don't know if you guys are watching the comments or not, but Eric is actually won the 1,000 subscriber winner. He's the one who got his scout. I'm actually, his scout is sitting right there, about 4 feet from me. And he's also real local. He's about 40 miles from me. So we've actually met face to face, and I think he's going to try to take a chunk out of this as well once it gets in this area.
Cool.
So,
That's Colleen. That's classic.
Which part?
extra braking power. Oh,
No,
talk
patio
about
chair
gas
cushions.
being on the ground.
But
No.
I mean,
Oh, patio chair.
yeah, we need to make sure that the floor bracing is solid enough to, support a larger fella in a seat there.
You can say it.
Well, the thing is, there's a bench seat in there now.
Yep.
If you go to bucket seats, you're going to have to make some supports on the inner channel because there is no inner channel because the bench seat only mounts on the outside, on the outside rails. So you put buckets in, you get 4 bolts on each seat, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas a bench, you only have 4. Vic, do you following this? You're
I
looking
got
like you got it. I had to do it on my car, so I put buckets in. It was a bench seat, so you put a rail in the middle so that you can bolt it, and the seat.
Gotta be a little
secure
meat to it.
inside too. So even if those seats, if the bolt pattern doesn't match up, you're gonna have to make some modifications anyway. So
Right. Well, kind of got some focusing done, if nothing else. So keep the motor. Lovejoy's working on the brakes. Patrick is working on the wiring.
I'll keep working on that 426 for you.
Oh, don't you mother.
It's going to be a 1/64 scale, though, right?
Everybody's a fucking comedian.
Yeah. I'll see what I can do with locks.
Okay.
I will see about it. I doubt anybody else is going to do anything. I'll see about at least getting the dash out of there, out of that parts car. I'll see what it takes to get the front section off that one. I need to know what pieces of trim that car needs, the Stone Soup needs.
I'll hit you with an email, and I'll draw out the car side, front, back,
Please.
all that stuff, and I'll figure out what it needs.
It needs a front bumper, and I don't have that found yet.
Yeah.
This Lancer was gone. But if we knew what pieces of trim needed, I could see if they're good on this car,
Okay.
and what it's going to take to get them. Trunk deck, taillight lens. I'll probably grab both of them.
Yeah, you'd think they'd be. I mean, they're circular. You think they'd both fit?
Yeah,
in.
I'm sure that they're not left and right, that they're ambidextrous or whatever. But you know how easy they are to come by? Let's have a spare.
Right.
The lens itself, not necessarily the housing or anything. Get a shopping list to go back there when I don't have to water in the mud too.
Okay. Absolutely.
I have time.
Well, that said, since we're starting to slow down here, JYD, I wanted to ask you, what were you thinking that you would want to do on the car, aside from putting a jet engine in it?
I don't know yet. I really don't know. I'm getting a feel for what everybody else is doing, and when it shows up, I'm gonna pick something. I guess I don't know. I'm not sure. Sorry, I don't have a better answer for you.
Okay.
I'm kind of in the same boat there.
I've got
too.
some ideas, but I don't know because I don't know what everybody else is going to do ahead of me or whatever. So, yeah.
That right there would be very helpful to Vic get a list together of what channels specifically want to do some task and what channels can do a task. You don't want me painting the car. I can paint patina, and try to get an idea who's got access to parts for whatever and like that. So we do know what is available, what to plan for. You know, if somebody else wants to do a particular segment on this car and you happen to have some parts laying in the corner, you can get them to that person, be it the car comes by your place first and you throw them in the trunk and hope they stay, or whatever.
Yeah. Okay.
That right there, what the car needs and what the channel participants are willing and able to do. And then that, you know, some things to do aren't available that need to be done. Like Lovejoy wants to do the brakes.
Yeah.
So we're leaving the brakes for him.
Yeah.
Because we know that now. But other portions of it, we don't know who's going to task it, do it, whatever. And there's lots of little stuff we haven't thought about.
Right.
You know, like maybe trying to pop the dent out of the roof a little, the crease out of the roof. Maybe not, leave it, whatever.
Yeah. Jamie kicked a big chunk out of it, but it's still got a wrinkle.
Right. And I was wondering about that because he popped it out, and I know that headliner is not in good shape. Does that have to stay, or can that? I mean, you're almost going to have to remove that. Am I?
Oh,
We're not gonna want to drive
as far as I'm concerned, you can rip that fucker out of there with fire. I don't know, whatever.
And I was also wondering because it was creased down so far, why there wasn't a cross brace across there, or is that crushed down too? Because he popped it out pretty easily with whatever he pulled it out with, so that there should be a cross brace across there that must be bent down, and he popped it up, and there's still no support there. So you almost have to take that headliner down to pop that cross brace back up or re-weld it or something. I'm just guessing. I've never worked on that year of cars, so I know mine does. I know every other Mopar I've worked on has a center section there. You know?
Yeah. I don't know. Last Mopar I worked on was 25 years ago, and it was when my brother stuffed a 440 down into my Volare and we destroyed it.
Sounds like fun.
So, well, God, it was almost 25 years ago now. Jesus. Yeah, my grandmother gave me her Volare for my first car, and my brother put my father's 440 from his Power Wagon in it, and we promptly went out and twisted it into a pretzel.
Same day?
Same day. Yep.
Didn't waste any time.
My brother says, now you need to not drive this like I know you want to drive this.
And what did you do?
I drove it like Don Garlitz would drive it. Guy pulled up next to me in his brand new 318 Dakota Sport. And of course, I didn't have any exhaust on it, so it was loud as hell. And he rolls down his window and he's laughing. He's like, "What the hell did you do to that thing?" And I said, "What are you talking about? It's bone stock." And immediately after that, the light turned green. I stomped on it. The front driver's side tire came off the ground about that far and stayed there. And shattered the windshield. And yeah, I turned that car into a pretzel. So.
What did Grandma think of that? Huh?
Do what?
What did your grandma think? What did your grandma think about that?
My brother had a friend named Eddie who was very, very good at hiding automotive damage. So
used car dealership?
No, he had a bunch of junk cars out behind his house, and he had an Aspen that had the same. You do it. I'm busy, woman. Give him the dog. I don't care. Throw him over the neighbor's fence. She just caught a mouse. Anyway, he had a windshield for an Aspen that we stuck in there, and he had I want to call it a frame straightener, but I don't know. I mean, it was a big old logging chain and a rack that you drove the car up onto and pulled it back down so that the body wasn't twisted.
That's a car trailer and a come along, ain't it?
Well, yeah, I mean, we did. You had to use a come along, but we cranked the shit out of it for probably a half an hour before the front tire finally touched the ground again.
I know that car didn't.
I know that car didn't steer correctly after that. Love you. All right. Well, then I am going to I'm going to make up another list of all the channels that have tasks that they've requested. I'm going to post that we're going to keep the motors so that everybody who sees the post can be like, okay, the motor's out. We're not going to worry about that unless we have another 225 that's running and ready and can drop right in.
So at least let's just say that it will stay a 225 slant 6.
Yeah, there you go.
Don't necessarily have to be this one, but
right.
And it's going to stay a 3-speed.
Yeah, I've already promised folks videos because
Yeah.
I don't know. If, I'm going to be.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be
you
learning
owe us
how to
that.
stick.
Yeah, right.
Do what?
You owe us that.
Yeah. Well, thing
You best
is,
not burn that clutch out, though. That's all I'm saying. The car gets all the way down there, and you burn the clutch out because
well, NSB will be there. I'll just make sure to bring a new clutch. So, yeah. So I'll do my due diligence. If you guys can, maybe throw the Patreon link to whomever might want to help out with the build. I've got 4 tiers up. The biggest one being $50 a month. And when I'm also planning a big, I'm going to get the full thing of StreamYard. So I'm going to plan a big event where all of the builders can come in and have fans interact with the builders and stuff. After the build's done. I'd appreciate that because the money thing, it's not something I'm real fond of talking about. Colleen will tell you I'm sort of a Robin Hood when it comes to trying to help people out, and she gets on me about it. But the money would help everybody who's taking a chunk out of this. So that's why I started the Patreon. And if you guys can maybe throw the Patreon to mom and dad and friends, family, et cetera, probably help.
Kind of that. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time.
One bite at a time. Same way you eat anything else.
I'll have mine barbecued, please. Thank you.
Right. Okay. Well, anybody else have any questions, comments, concerns? I think I'm going to shut this down at 2 hours and 40. That gives us 3 minutes left. These guys have stuck with me pretty much the whole 2.5 hours that we've done this so far, and got a lot of good ideas, and we're ready to roll. So don't forget the Facebook page. We do have a Facebook now, thanks to Eric. Scott had one too, but
I
because
just wanted to show Eric my car. He said he's got a 66 Valiant, so there you go. Look like that.
Rub it in his face. Jeez. Eric's got a hell of a Scout, man. I've seen the thing in person. That thing looks like it looks like it's been ridden hard and put up wet, but it'll still climb a tree, So
Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt.
you're all right. Anybody have any comments, questions, concerns?
Other question I had. Okay, so and we kind of touched on it, but I mean it's open game, right? To do anything on there, it doesn't have to be stock parts put back on there, right? I mean aftermarket parts, no problems. Like he was, a racer was saying he's gonna put some Volare seats in there. Obviously, that's not the era correct seat for that car, but it is what it is, right? It's an upgrade from what seat is in there now. So
Yeah.
as long as
Yeah, anything
we're
within
game to do whatever we want, right? For the most part, within reason, obviously.
I mean,
Keeping with the theme.
Right.
I'm not looking for bulletproof glass and machine guns,
Right.
Just something that
There went
you
my
looked
surprise.
disappointed there for a second, Ray. No, I get the distinct impression that if anybody's going to put machine guns and armor on it, it's going to be this guy.
No, I don't know.
The turret takes care of the dent in the roof.
Right? Yeah, you just cut a big ring in
Perfect. There you go.
it. Hell no.
Sure.
Yeah,
Nope.
but no, it's stock. Basically, anything that I mean, well, I say stock. Aftermarket's fine too, but you know, we're not
It's
like I
not
said,
a
we're not
retro.
looking to make this thing into a missile. It's supposed to be a good, fun family, you know, friend. Go out and have a beer with your buddies while you throw some brakes on, or you know, fix the headlight bezels or something. You know, there's no one piece is supposed to be too much. You
So
know,
if somebody had like a Super
You say-
B wing that they wanted to mount on the back deck lid, which would be a absolute no-no. But if somebody, let's say, did that, I mean, obviously that would be horrific. But
Then we can
that's-
grind and weld the
that's
whole
extreme example. I'm just saying.
as long as I would actually be okay with that. Believe it or not. I swear to God, I thought you were going to say 426 again. I was just going to shut everything off right there.
There was somebody talking about jacking it up and putting big tires on it.
Yeah, right. Somebody's gonna four-wheel drive it or something, you know.
You know, at least the stance. But I don't know if that adds to the durability of it any. But you know, I think that would be extreme for our timeline.
Yeah, I mean, maybe somebody who, you know, and nobody's to say. Maybe next year, you know, when things are a little more financially stable for me, I couldn't go to somebody else's shop and say that the Stone Soup saga continues. And like, just using you, Ray, as an example, like Ray said that he's got this thing that'll fit in there perfect, and you throw a 4-wheel drive set under it. Holy shit. You know what I mean? But for now, no, let's
Okay, I just want to be clear, you know, because some people, you know, there's the purists, you know, that want, oh, this is you can't do that. Don't do
A
that.
little late for that.
You know, and I used to be that way. I had that kind of ingrained in my head since I was young that it's got to stay stock. It's got to be original. That's what, you know, and I'm so over that. I just, you know, nowadays I want to do what I want on a car. You know what I mean? That
yeah.
what makes sense, what makes it most comfortable, what makes it go faster, you know, just do what makes sense to it, you know? So
Right. Mohawk said, redneck rumble rules, nothing on the car post 1967 and no billet anything. Okay. The only thing that I know of that ever said the word billet was a grill. So can you guys explain billet to me?
It's machined aluminum.
Oh, okay.
They take a block and they cut it out.
Gotcha.
post 67, I would say post 85, you know, because yeah, post 75, let's say.
Well, all right. Then, gentlemen, I genuinely appreciate you coming up. You can hang out with me a little bit afterward, but I'm going to shut the comments and stuff down, and we can hammer out a plan if you like. Everybody else, thank you so much for showing up. These are probably going to be coming more frequently. So, you know, as the car moves along, the slowest section is right now. Everything's going to start accelerating from here on.
Well, the distance is one and momentum is one.
Yeah. So, anyway, much love to everybody. Peace, love, happiness. Take it easy and look for
All right.
posts tomorrow.
Thanks everybody in the chat. Eric, Mohawk, Colleen, Patrick, right?
All those
Yeah,
guys.
I think it's
Yeah.
it's been constructive.
Roger that.
Yeah.
Peace, everybody. Take
Yeah.
it easy.
See y'all.